sentiment towards that Apple run, and I already apologize to that stock for underestimating its ability to run today. But nice look, yeah, Fonzie mentioning Apple as well, so shout out to that. Tomorrow, though, we're not fibbing, there will be some fibs. So I'm really excited to see what happens here. Thank you, you all. You're a rock star. We're always happy to be here, talk these markets, hype up these markets.
Yeah, baby.
And no one's more hyped about the markets here than Neil and Sean.
Oh, yeah.
Heading into the afternoon, Sean was excited. Sean and Neil both have some trades to discuss. Maybe we'll hear about some Micron, we'll hear about some coin, but we'll see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. For now, though, Brendan's at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. 2 o'clock, couple hours left in the session as we head into those 2 hours. A number of things to know here this afternoon. I'll just keep my eye on the dollar yen. This is the USD versus the yen, so big move up. If you flip it, you'll see what happened to the yen overnight when the Bank of Japan ended 8 years of negative interest rates. For the first time, moved on interest rates in 8 years for the Bank of Japan. Currencies have been very volatile across the entire board as a result. So far today, we'll talk to Frank Caberna coming up this afternoon, get his take on what this means. I mean, they were kind of hinting at this even back in the summer of last year, and then going all the way through to now, we finally get a move from the Bank of Japan. They did come out afterwards saying that there's no expectations of further moves on interest rates from the Bank of Japan through the end of the year. So pretty crazy move for the dollar yen today. There's a number of individual names still moving around this afternoon as well. This IP in New York up huge, 10.5%, just took out the highs. I saw a day high alert on that one just a couple of minutes ago there. 1.5% downside here for Tesla, looking like it might want to roll over once again after giving up that pre-market support early on around 170. We get a nice flush out of the gate. We'll talk about that coming up. But yeah, pretty ugly candle forming on the daily chart for Tesla as well. Overall, the market's still holding on to a decent day here overall. I didn't bring up the heat map there. I'll grab it for everyone, but still tech leading as far as the gainers are concerned as we look ahead to the Fed coming up tomorrow at this time. Make sure you are with us. 2 o'clock, we'll get the decision. Nothing's going to change. 2:30, we'll get Fed Chair Powell on the podium giving us all kinds of nothing as well, probably, as far as indication is concerned, because let's be honest, he probably doesn't have any idea what they are going to do. Frank sent me a note this afternoon suggesting that Fed Fund futures specifically are now even indicating that June may be in question as far as a cut. So again, Frank coming up in about 45 minutes. So I'll ask him about that and a little bit more as we get into what should be a pretty interesting afternoon here. We were touching on Nvidia to kick things off this morning. If you're with us in the pre-market, pretty good day here after all is said and done. 1.1% on a bounce back as 850 ends up being support here, guys, for Nvidia on day 2 of this AI Woodstock thing.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the Woodstock of
A
AI.
stock?
A stock?
I
stock Rocky? No, that doesn't work. I don't like that one.
I think that works. But.
So about 850. 850 on Nvidia. Yeah, obviously that was a key level that probably should have been along. I think we got into that and we talked about how, and the lesson of the day, like sometimes you got to be able to pivot away from it, and you know, you can have all the ideas in the world and the key price level to think, hey, I'm going to trade off that level and I want it to be a short breaking down off a double bottom on Nvidia. Why is it a double bottom? Let me actually show you why. There you go. So it felt to me, if it's a sell the news event, that was like a double bottom break on the 15-minute and I'd be going short. It was essentially the best long opportunity of the day to just go long in front of that level. Sometimes a flat bottom break is a support level till it's not. Now, obviously, I had this one wrong today because I should have been short. I should have been long off the 850 level, but you can't really go back in time. I had a couple of breakouts. One I'm glad I got away from. The other, the irony of this break at $890 is I crap you not. I could say issue not. I had just gotten green right before I took this breakout trade. And I'm like, yep, and there's Nvidia going to break the 890 level. I bungled it only to watch it go up to 895. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I actually even got up after, like, what am I even doing? But Nvidia has ripped faces off. It's up 1%. Only because we're talking about chips. So this has been happening on Micron. I'm short it, and for the first time, I'm actually starting to scalp it. So I'm changing from shorting in the 98s and 99s well, okay, I'm still short that price, to taking some out at 80 and then trying to get filled above 94. Because as long as it does this consolidation and the market goes higher and it doesn't go with the market, I feel like if the market pulls back, this could head back into the downside. So we talked about this in the middle of the day, how Micron was weird. So I'm going to see if we can't take advantage of it this afternoon. And I'm still in some Intel. Well, it's a reload on Intel. That, thankfully, is not ripping as many faces off for the chip names.
All right, so I didn't think we would break 895 on Nvidia. We were going short. I mean, now we were just in the money $3, but we're not taking that. And so this just got going real quick, man, all the way to the upside, and we wound up losing, way too much here. So we're going to be red on the day, but again, we just bounced off the 50 period. We could have taken that. I feel like today the problem is really just trying to wait for huge wins. Like this was a good one. 875 down here to 866. Like those were good. We were doing fine on Nvidia until we weren't, and until this move happened. 865 at 12 o'clock, and then by the time it was 1 o'clock, you're up to 895. So $30 almost in a straight line. I'm gonna try one more time against 900. I just would feel silly like not trying that. So I know it's wrong. The market's turned green. We were down like 1% at one point. It's been a huge move up. I can tell you about how it's been such a bad day for that trade, but we have been in the queues and we've been shorting this, which has been good. We're just trying to short tops here in the NASDAQ. And then, by the way, we have P&L number 1 and it's not even close, and it's right off of the sticky note today. We have P&L number 1 on the downside. I just told you it's not even close either with NASDAQ and Nvidia. But Coinbase, finally, 234. I mean, we shorted 233. We wrote down there on the sticky note here. We're going to talk about coin? Yeah, okay, we'll talk about crypto next. So let's go back over to the desk and we'll talk about crypto. Then I'll tell you what we did on coin.
Just be aware, Gilden Activewear, GIL. This is actually dual listed. This is in Toronto. It actually just halted in Toronto. So GIL halted right now in Toronto. You can also go to GIL in New York and see the same thing. It's still trading up big time. They just put the company up for sale, apparently. So they've been fighting a takeover war for a few months, I was reading. And they finally just decided to accept all bidders. So huge volume coming in here to GIL in New York. Was doing absolutely nothing up to that point today. We can talk about crypto. I was going to mention this real quick as well. I didn't show it before, but that kind of gives you a lay of the land of what's going on right now. Still, AMD, the problem spot right now, 4.5%. Nvidia, nice day. QCOM, Intel, Texas Instruments, even Meta. Among those to the downside, but everything else, pretty good day here, including, we haven't talked about energy for a while, but basically the entire group down here. Very green, which is good to see. Anything in crypto?
I was going to say quickly on energy. Have you seen gas price almost at $1.60 now, Brendo? So yeah.
I mean, most of that's tax around here, but who's counting?
With the carbon tax going to increase that. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there, guys. Bitcoin was trying to break above that $65,000 level during the midday. It was a little bit above, a little bit below. In case you're wondering what's going on with BTC these days, the inflows into the spot ETFs really starting to dwindle here. Yesterday, we only had $178 billion flow into these ETFs, whereas compared to last week, we had multiple days, 400 plus billion, Brendo. So yeah, maybe petering off a little bit here. Yeah,
3 days in a row. If you go to a daily chart here for, that's 15 minutes. A few days in a row anyways, downside here for Bitcoin, guys, but trying to get back to that 64 once again.
Yeah, and I had 3 trades. One was on IBIT, one was on Coinbase, one was on, well, actually more a couple of times, but we traded all 3 of them. But we always say it's okay to be wrong, it's not okay to stay wrong. I looked for a break of the high, a failed break of the high, which was a pre-market high on IBIT. It wicked that level. I was short 36, 39 when it was like 40 that broke here. So it broke by a couple of cents, came back in, looked like it was about to flush. I got the first take profit, and then it just slammed to the upside. A similar thing happened in Coinbase, where I was short off the pre-market high, right in here, 228. It bounced off 226. I accidentally got long. Obviously, if I hold on to that trade, it's going to be a winning trade, but it doesn't matter. It was accidental, so I got out of it right away. And then Mara, we were also short, but that was short on the trend down. The second it was above VWAP, we just got out of Dodge. And I've been staying away from them ever since. Mara actually holding that 1920 line. So underneath there, it still looks like some resistance for Mara. So we'll get away up on the crypto names, despite the fact that we weren't in any long trades. But that is one heck of a reversal that all of these names did. So you got to be nimble. I think we talk about mental agility there. Sometimes when things are ripping its faces off, the best you can do is sit it out and try not to get your face ripped off along with it.
Yeah, so we talked about this, man. We'll go diamond hands and we'll go money, 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 as this is easily, like I just mentioned, the #1 name here today, midday show, morning show, everything. Coinbase, 234 short sell. We had it, man. We put it down there and it's beautiful. It's $4 in the money right now. Even if I get out for flat, it'll still be a monster. Right there, we may get some out at 228. I think we might as well do that. We're gonna wait to see 226 coming through at some point, but for right now, Coinbase continues to make moves lower. There's that trade. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if we didn't put it down, so that's it. We took it. We immediately within 1 minute got $1, and then we got the 50 period, so that's 233, that's 232, that is 231.30, so that's $1, that's 2 and change, and then that trade right there is a 229.70, Phil. So that's about $3. But right now we're trying to bounce around here, debating just getting this out right now because crypto is going to be a funny thing here. Supreme Court allowing Texas deportation law. I'm hearing in my ear. I don't know anything about that law, but right there, I'm going to put a bid right here, 228.50. We're going to put that in for Coinbase. So 228.50. I was at 226. But, the 200 period's changed here. So 228 and change. Let's put that out. Maybe we get that immediately. Good trade there for Coinbase.
Okay, so that moved Geo to the downside, which I guess makes some sense. Geo, Geo actually fell 40 pennies on that move, like 3% down and then right back on GEO. That's the prison stock. But, right back. But it looks like, I don't know, I might short this back into VWAP. I don't even know if we have locates on this stock. Let me just double check first. We do have locates on it. So VWAP's right at 13. Oh, but it's right back above. Okay, good. Thank goodness we didn't actually just jump on the offer there because I just busted VWAP as we were talking about it. That really went down to 1270. Is now headed higher. Insane.
Tesla. Let's go talk about Tesla quickly because we have quite a monster winner on this one. So let's go find out more about Tesla.
Let's continue. A few things moving around. As I mentioned when we came on, Tesla looking like it was trying to roll over there again. We're getting back down towards this 170. We were discussing this FSD note this morning. Ended up being a bit of a sell out of the gate. Nice flush down to 167 and change there for Tesla. There's, long story short, there's going to be a number of updates still to come on FSD 12. I think it's, 12.3 they're on or something like that right now. They've taken the entire first iteration of FSD and thrown it out the window and gone in a completely different direction, which from what I was reading and hearing over the weekend was positive. Yeah. But maybe not even the reason why we're down today after such a big day yesterday. Yeah, it was a big move yesterday, Brendo, with those price increases in Europe and in North America. $1,000 on the Model Y in North America and at 2,000 euros out in Europe. But with respect to FSD, Elon saying to expect updates about every 2 to 3 weeks, with the purpose being to increase the capabilities rapidly. The updates are expected in late April, early May. So we'll have to see how this new version comes out. I mean, I can't anticipate that it's probably worse than the other one. Yeah. I mean, it'd have to be a step up. Yeah. And yeah, that was the messaging that I was hearing on the weekend and reading on the weekend as well. I don't know if you guys mentioned this. Apologies if you did, but there was that note on Coinbase apparently. Coinbase having some issues right now. Users saying their May forecast, or the platform may forecast their crypto sends and receives as pending. So maybe some technical issues there for Coin. NVIDIA. Right, there it is. I have no idea. On. We just didn't even get stopped out there, so I don't know what happened. But there goes NVIDIA. You can't get filled on these anymore. No, breaking higher there. We actually wound up sitting in that because our
Our order does not fire, but we're short NVIDIA right now as it starts to break higher and higher and higher. So huge move up for NVIDIA. Now taking out 900. We got to deal with this one, but new highs for NVIDIA. What a monster there. We tried to punch. I don't know what happened there with my order. We should have punched that out, but we did not. So right there goes NVIDIA straight back up to the upside. So yeah, great day for shorting NVIDIA. Not. As we lose on that one. I don't know why that didn't punch me out, but there it goes again. I guess one of those situations there where the stop order doesn't work, and now it's going to cost me way too much, man. That's funny. Like we had that black swan with Neil, and then right now here we have an order that didn't work and punched me out through 900. So, all right. Hopefully this fades back in, but there goes Nvidia. Tesla's been a good one. I'll have to deal with it, but look at Tesla, man. 172 all the way down to 170. I'll talk about this in a minute, but I got to get out of this Nvidia as it breaks higher, guys.
Well, I didn't get that break.
No.
Either, but I didn't cross far enough. What did I cross? 35? Yeah, I don't know. Like, like anybody that had that 900 break, I'd be curious what prices you were able to get. Yeah. What would have filled on that breakout? But I feel like this morning, like when I'm taking the breaks and they're not working right away, yeah, like I'm getting 21s, 25s, no problem. Yeah. And the one that goes right away, like you don't get it. You probably had to cross 50 cents. Maybe I get picked back up at 900.
50 cents? No, way more.
Yeah, no. I looked over. I'm like, I had no chance. It was at like one. So I saw the break. It was at $1.50. Oh, by the way, this is probably the straw that broke the consolidation of Micron's back. You're like, come on. If Micron doesn't break this high now with Nvidia over $900 and the market taking out the highs, then it's not happening and this is going to be a good short. But if it does, I just got to get out. 916 is the top. I might even reverse this. Like, come on, give me a break. How long has this been consolidating down here? Intel, well, I should show you guys Intel because all the chips are going up. Intel, I shorted this one off 42.5 here and then a lower high. I'm going to cancel my offer because I don't need to be reloading this while it's already at 905.
Yep.
What's AMD doing? Just clawing higher. Oh, that's a bad wick too. AMD clawing higher is the Nvidia story. Micron hasn't broken yet. But if it doesn't, then I probably should be reloading this short if it never takes out this high.
All right, Xpeng. Sean, did you have more there?
Okay, because Nvidia is pissing me off. So.
Okay. As you were. Let's talk Xpeng here. Deliveries coming out better than expected. Earnings overall not impressive. Let's put it that way, putting it lightly. But deliveries pretty impressive to go in the opposite direction here. 60,158 in the quarter. That's up nearly 171%. That's fantastic. Not bad at all.
That's a fantastic look, Brendo. Like you mentioned, though, revenue coming a little bit light, not much, a little bit light. With respect to the guidance for deliveries for Q1 of 2024, or Q2, excuse me, of 2024, this is a bit of an issue. So the street was looking for 54,250 vehicles. They're talking about 21,000 to 22,500. That is not even half. So, I mean, I saw it pump up aggressively today, retrace a little bit as typical Chinese ADRs do during the day. But yeah, a bit of a tough look here.
Just be aware for anyone who's watching. I just saw a few weed names fly by in front of me here. CGC starting to go. Looks like that MSOS starting to go. So a little bit of volume coming in here too. Some weed names, guys.
Couldn't sell.
Stay off the weed.
I might have to get on the weed after this day.
Look, Xpeng. Okay, I'm surprised that Xpeng did this, but it did. It actually tanked a full dollar change at the open, which is what we've come to expect by Chinese ADRs. But if you had told me that Xpeng was going to bounce off 9.25 and be chilling out above $10 at 2 o'clock, I'd probably be stuck eating some pineapple pizza. So thankfully, no one made that bet with me because like I would have taken that bet for sure. Like it just, I don't even think there's any question about it. Like there's no way I think Xpeng is recovering $10 today after what it did this morning. Yet here we are. And when you get reversals like that, you should stand up and take some notice. So I suppose if this breaks out tomorrow, then suck it up, buttercup. It's probably a breakout long when you do liquidity grabs like that. As far as trading it this afternoon, Sharif said it in the midday. I don't expect any crazy fireworks. Like after this move, does the Chinese ADR take out the top in the afternoon? I'm betting usually against that because they tend to fall asleep. If anything, I'd almost think you scalp a short off of that high. but I'm already in Micron and Intel. I think if those hold the top with Nvidia doing what it just did, that's going to be a little bit more productive. But yeah, congratulations if you got that bottom on Xpeng. Worth noting, look where it bounced. Like it actually bounced right off of this low from last week on Thursday. Like wick bottom 930, it found that level, which is the most local bottom, and just ramped off there. So if you were looking for a reversal trade on Xpeng, congratulations to you. I can't tell you how many times I look for a level like that on Neo when it dips and it never quite gets there. Xpeng gave you the entire retracement both ways.
I gotta thank everybody in the chat, man. You guys put smiles on my face off after my cannabis comment there. Okay, so we just hit it again right now, so let's hit the sirens. I mean, you know what? The more and more I trade the futures, the more and more I realize I should just trade the futures, it seems like. All right, so we've just been scalping here today. It's the triple Qs. Let's see what happens here. We just got another short against 439 on that rip of Nvidia. We'll have to wait to see now. I'm bidding in the 50. If it takes out 439, we're out. Like, just to continue to fight this is pretty ridiculous. All right, so Coinbase, good out there. What are we talking about? XPEV. I have no Chinese love today. I was looking for Alibaba. Excuse me, down there at 7. Wow, okay, that really got going. All right, well, we were dead right about the long, but the prices didn't come in. And, you know, this is the thing. It's even true of, you know what? Oh, yeah, we got that NVIDIA print. Okay, good. It's even true of AMD, and that is even NVIDIA as well. It's like we wrote down Alibaba 72. But like we need to be looking at this. Like when it comes in like that, we're never going to get the exact price right. So we should have looked at this throughout the morning and then honestly just played off this. So that's a mistake right there. We'll tend to make mistakes here, that's for sure. So mistake on Alibaba. We should have been buying that. Again, we had it written on here as our, long today. We have Tesla long, which we could talk. Well, we kind of talked about that. That's when we were having that. Then we had Bob long. Those were the only two longs that we were looking at for today. But okay, here we go. Nvidia just came. Oh no, I closed the chart. Nvidia just came back in here. Hopefully I didn't actually close the chart. I just minimized it. All right, I have to, there it is. Nvidia just came back in and we did get a fill at 901. So let's hold and see if we can get back down now. We missed our buy, but honestly, when we missed, I've lost a lot of money and made a lot of money on Nvidia, but today will be bad. The thing is that reason why I said to Neil, like you got to cross probably $2 at least, is that on the way down, when it was breaking a couple days ago, I was slippage of $3. So that was $8.97. So this move up, mine didn't trigger, and I see why. It says it couldn't throw out the amount of the share order for myself. So I don't know. I was only trying to get out 75%, so I did want to hold a little bit of it. But anyways, that's what we're doing now. We're back into this. Well, we're same levels. We'll watch out for it. But okay, that's XPEV. Here comes back in coin right now. Let's see what happens. And let's go talk about SMCI. That's actually a name that I haven't looked at all today, SMCI.
I looked once.
Very red once again, 2 days in a row here for SMCI coming off this morning. If you missed it, 2 million shares coming through on an offering. This was all pre-market. So as soon as the market actually opened, we did get a bit of a follow-through move downside, but it's been kind of choppy back above 900 and holding right now as well.
Yeah, it's interesting here for SMCI. They're looking to raise capital. They did so last, I believe, month when they raised up $1.5 billion. In addition to the money that they're raising today, they're also offering Goldman an opportunity to buy up to 300,000 shares. They give them 30 days to do that after the addition to the S&P. So we'll have to see how Supermicro does. Obviously, been a hell of a year and a hell of a 365 days, Brendo.
To say the least. I was just checking, 8.5% short.
Not bad. Okay.
I thought it would be higher. Still 100, even with 2 days in a row here, 108% on the month here, guys, for SMCI.
Well, some of them must have, because it was 11% the last I checked. So obviously there's some covering has happened on SMCI, which you would suspect when it's had this kind of price movement. Down to 9% today, but let's be real, it was $1,200 up at the top, and that was just last week. So 1,200, you can do your own math to 850. Pretty big pullback. I didn't say this was a trading vehicle today. We kind of picked on, you know the chip names that we prefer. And when you talk about, like Sean was just talking about slippage, like if you get out of SMCI on an even dollar break, you're giving this $10 because the slippage is precipitous when you trade this stock. It's very different. Like this and Nvidia are pretty close in price. They're nowhere near each other when it comes to liquidity, and Nvidia is slipping you by a couple of bucks. So I just think you got to be careful as a day trader trading this. But I would not stand on the bid of this bad boy in the near term. I just feel like you see what's happening with Nvidia. The bounce ain't happening here. Let's go back to Brendo.
Just real quick, guys. There was a volume spike there on SMCI. It seems to be on this. They just came out and said that 2 million offering has been delayed until after the close. So they haven't even done or sold the shares yet for SMCI. It's down 10%.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, it shouldn't be down then, right? So I think that would make sense why it would go back up. They'll have to price it, figure that out, but down to 905 or so. All right, so we're back into it now. We're going to bid, don't even. We're bidding $898.50. It just went to $898.60. Now 70s. There it is, finally. We'll go diamond hands, but it's not on purpose. We're just hitting this for fun. There goes Nvidia. You know what? Net, I mean, probably better off by missing that punch after all. It doesn't normally work out like that. But there's the pushback down in for it. Nvidia. Man, that's lucky that we just got that fill for sure, because that could have just kept on going up. I mean, we had our stop at 905 and change. It went to 905.25. Like, we were close to being out of all of this, and then we would have had broken keyboards all over the place, seeing what's happening now.
This actually...
So here we go. Now back to the downside. Let's see how far we can go, because are you short? No, but so let's see if we get into this 885.
There'll never be a context for me to tell this story again, but one time in the middle of the day, I crap you not, I was long a stock. I went to the bathroom, and this is at our campus office, where our office floor, we shared one, and it was in the hallway. I come back to look at the stock crater, essentially went down, like past where I would have been shut down, but it was down there for so short a time that like the system didn't liquidate me. And then I came back like a couple of minutes later, sat down at my seat, saw the wick on the chart. It's like it went down there, it should have shut me down, but it was so fast and it snapped right back up, and it was like nothing had happened. And I just got on the offer and got back out. But like every now and then, when you have those massive liquidity grab events, like we talk about it all the time, like wick tops, wick bottoms can be turnarounds or pivot points or reversals, whatever term you want to use. And a lot of times, you know, like if you punch out into the ether, like it can be nasty, but after things calm down, you might as well take the benefit of it. I'm in Alphabet right here. I apologize in advance for these wicks, which are back today with a vengeance for me. I did have a VWAP trade we took the hit on. This is not a real wick. It kind of held 147 quarters here and then worked its way back down. Google is red today. It's down 0.5%. I'm not sure specifically why Alphabet is so weak, but I'm trying to get on this onto the downside back into VWAP. We're still in Micron. We're still in Intel. And let's be real. Like, this market is now consolidating up at the top. Like, we're going to have Frank come on here, but it's now consolidating off of these highs. Now, if you had told me that going into the Fed and after it was almost like a sell the news event on Nvidia that we'd be facing this, I'd be like, no way. But you've got to trade what's in front of you. So at the end of the day, I look at what's in front of me. We have resistance on the futures. Google's been weak. Intel's been relatively weak. Micron has clear resistance. I think all three of those make some sense, because I don't want to be long at these tops when we're standing in front of some brick walls. If they break, fair enough. We'll get out. Let's go back to the desk.
We're talking about pullback trades all week on how to trade. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about the measured move pullback. We'll be using Fibonacci's. So all my fib heads out there, catch Adair and I tomorrow on how to trade at 11.
And then you get the Fibonacci Princess, I believe. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I think third Wednesday maybe for her. We'll see her tomorrow, Fibonacci Princess. So she'll be there to do that as well. Thank you so much, Sharif, for that. Good show today on the midday, of course. Never filled with enough puns, that midday.
It was punny today.
It was, yeah, please don't start or
Gill
I'll
stock,
throw
by the
something
way.
again. Okay, so that Gill is opened
Well, no,
up?
there's still... Oh, yeah, it's a news halt, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, it's buyout rumor.
I thought
Or
it was disseminated
putting
already.
himself up for sale.
But just be careful with this, because I've seen this in the past. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I've seen it in the past where like the Toronto exchange and like the US exchanges, this will be the New York, like a stock opens at different times. and it doesn't always open up in sync, and it doesn't always halt in sync. So apparently it's not disseminated. I thought this had been disseminated, but it's still T1, which means until it goes T2, T3 in a resumption time, you're not really going to be able to do anything with that, and we'll let you guys know if it does open back up. Let me know what you guys are trading here. I just pulled up Tesla, Tesla, whatever you want to call it, here today. It's trying to get off VWAP. That 172 is turning into resistance. This is another chart with the wicks. I can zoom way in and then get rid of that one there. There you go. So that 172 level is afternoon resistance, and VWAP is looking like support. So I think if we hang out in this range on the futures, then I think working this range on Tesla is going to make some sense in here. Apple's very strong. I think that could be one heck of a long. Ben Ruggiano, Snowflake 150 is another one of those. But you know what? It didn't get to 150. And I think if it had broken 151, there's at least a chance that I would have had that trade. But sometimes at 9:30 in the morning, I got to zoom back out again. At 9:30 in the morning, when that first opening wick comes into the downside, you don't always want to get in too early there, but it bounced like a 151.5 and then was off to the races. That's the trouble with buying the dip. If you're in too early, you can get run over. If you're too far back, you miss the trade. So you're always trying to find that sweet spot at 9:30 in the morning, and sometimes you just don't get it. So congratulations to anybody that might have got Snowflake. I don't know if anybody did. It went green, but it was the 50 level, 150 that I wanted, and I'm pretty much in that situation never going to get it unless it gets underneath 151.
Sharif is making his protein bites tomorrow.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, and he wants to know if everybody wants them.
I'll take a few. I'll take some.
All right, Gilden Activewear shares halted, news pending, right there. So that's the news from the Benzinga Newswire, and just stating that they're looking for active buyers. So the exact story that Brendan gave us is what the story is. So thanks, Brendo, for that one. And it's Gildan, GIL in New York and in Toronto, halted, looking for some buyers right now. So that's good. All right, and we're also looking for some advertisers. Anybody want to advertise on the show? Marketing at tradertv.live. Send that in. All right, so I do notice that Coinbase is making a move back up. We have 40% of this. Again, we're playing with house money, but doesn't mean that we shouldn't be getting out. I'm wondering about a 230 right now in case we dip back in. Brendan mentioned that they were suffering maybe from a outage or something, but I mean, obviously it's not, or it's not as big of a deal as it was in the past. So we'll bid down here near 230 again for Coinbase, and yeah, hallelujah. We had a little bit of a move back up in some of the crypto names here today into this afternoon, as we have Bitcoin down here at 65. So that's a nice move, which is obviously creating Coinbase right back up to the upside. And then you can see today we had a nice, let me just refresh this, make sure you got the right prices. So Solana was down to what, I guess I can look, but it was like 170 and change. So that's a nice bounce back to 181. You know, the big one here is Ethereum. Ethereum is still pretty bad. You know, down to 33. We just broke 44. We just broke 4,000. So that's not great, in my opinion, down there. Nice little pullback in Ethereum. So watch out for that one as we're starting to go again. All right, so here comes NVIDIA, and here comes the high of the day. Oh, just for you guys looking at the queues, we're not reloading it. We have 30% left. We got pretty much everything out when we came into this level, which was 50s. Remember, the short's 80s. So, and then we got a whole bunch out at 30s and then even out at 20s, but we're not going to reload as we go right back up to the highs, and so does Nvidia. So we got some out there on Nvidia, didn't we? Yes, we did. So right there, we got an 8. Can you believe we got an 898.50 level, which is basically where we were short. So all in all, we'll wind up losing about $2 or $3. And then if we take out 905, we only have about 25% left of it. So we actually got out of like 50 there, then another 25 there for flat. So all in all, I hate the trade because we're short in front of 900 and it's above 900, but we talked about that over and over again. So Tesla's coming back. We have a we basically miscalculated our out, so we have a little bit of shares left. We did want this retracement back, high of the day into VWAP. Come on. I mean, if and when we write a book, that's what we would talk about, getting them out into VWAP if it does come back. And then I'm going to put a 230 bid right now on Coinbase. So we talked a little bit about that. Let's put a bid back down here at 230. The difference with Coinbase kind of, guys, is like, you got to close the gaps. Like, you could want a 230 fill right there, but honestly, it could just gap down and fill a dark pool and you don't get filled. So I'm going to put one in the 30s, 230, 30-ish, so that if we do flush down, we'll get that fill. And then we'll get out if it breaks the high there for Coinbase, as Bitcoin is breaking back a little bit lower now with 65.
Lower high right now.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I'm seeing that lower high. Like Mara's at my level. That's sort of the thing. So let me do this for you guys, because I'll show you guys IBIT, because that's what I'm looking at. But I mean BTC, IBIT, whatever you want to look at, it's fine. So there's the lower high on Bitcoin. It did wick that 37.5. So like that top in here, if I pull further back, it's a support level as well. But so it pulls back off that resistance level and you're getting a lower high. While Mara is at the key price level I marked off this morning for myself. You guys use whatever you want. But this is the level. It was a good support level. It does a nice up and down. It was support right at the close yesterday, about 19.25. So I was looking at that range to look for the short. So the price area more than anything else, giving it to that high of the day. If Bitcoin breaks out from this point, to me, I'd probably be already out of Mara because it's close enough to that top. But I waited for this after it broke VWAP to actually set up that rejection. And it's possible I could have already been in it down here, but now it's setting up for me. So we're in Google, getting Mara off of this high of the day. We'll want to double check back in on Apple at some point, because I think Apple's you're not going to get VWAP 175. Sorry about the wicks, guys. But 175 on Apple's too far gone. I think you got to look at the 176. Apple looks pretty strong today, and it's a steady strength in Apple, which is why I would support the dip buy there. But I'm shorting Mara off of that high, lower high on BTC. If it clears it out, great. VWAP's a target. 1875, 1880 would be the first area I'd look to cover.
All right. We did talk a little bit here. That's Sonder Holdings. Okay. I was looking at something there. It's Sonder, not Soundhound, because we had been looking at Sound for a minute here. Okay, still 850, so we're still fine on Sound. I mean, it's up 4%, dancing around there. I thought there was a note about it, but it's just about something else right now. Okay, Coinbase, we're still waiting for it. Nvidia, Tesla, everything. So everything seems to be fine right now. We're just doing what we normally do. So we'll have to, I guess, wait to see what does now happen in the market as we have our shorts on board. We're in the queues. We're in Nvidia's against ourselves. I am trying to get a 904 fill, but how high did we just go just now? 903.50, so we were pretty close. If we would have got a 904, that would have made it a lot better down here at 900. We would have taken that out. So if we're able to get anything short up here, and it comes back in and wants to dance around 900 again, I feel like that's a great out. Hey, look, if 900 is going to work, let it work. I mean, that's basically the only thing I have to say. I can't just sit here and get out now, because if this thing drops down $10, I have to be here for that. So let's wait to see if it does go. My bid's at 888s. So we'll see if it goes down that far. I mean, I didn't think that was going to happen before. Like when we got stopped out right here at 895, this was a big hit. We lost multiple hundreds of bucks here. And then it dropped down into 885. You know, so like this would have been what we wound up losing. We would have made it back huge. But again, like, you know, Nvidia's been a tricky trade. There's no doubt about that today, like we were saying. And, you know, it's not really getting too much better around here. And I can always tell if it's an easy day or not. Not an easy day, but if some of the patterns are working, if I can look back there and I see that it's not like an overly successful day for the floor. But on that note, anybody can join and open up a trading floor. We have tons. Actually, I'm going to open up Tip, and we'll talk about yesterday. I haven't even looked. We can do it together. Look this up, man. Trade smart, not hard. Trade with us at Real Trading. I mean, you guys can have your stop orders up in there. You can trade literally any market. We have over 50 plus markets here, including now crypto, although that's kind of got squashed with IBIT. But once we get more coins on there, I think it'll be great. Take your opportunity to do that and join Real Trading. I'm going to go find yesterday's top traders, and I'll show you the kind of money that some traders around here
missed it.
Can tend to make.
I was doing the pose. It's like that it's like the guy's that picture is like the anti-me. He's got the different shades. different glasses, obviously young, not old. But I find like you got to go with the orange, man. The blues played out. The blues are for the shirts. We're blue shirts.
Right.
You got to do the orange lenses, man. That's where it's at. Yeah. I have no idea who that ball is, but like they could have just. I mean, come on, give me a break. They could have just used us. I mean, like we're actually here. I have no idea. It's probably just like a stock photo or something.
Not probably. That is a stock.
No, yeah, of course. No, of course it is. Let's be real for a second. Yep. The market is like, are you kidding me? Like it just tried to break out that top, and of course did not. This is getting weird on, like Micron's still doing that same thing. It has given some fills above 94. I have 99s as a price. I'm on the bid in the 80s in case it does make a move. Chad saying watch out for AMD 184. I'm actually, so my new approach to Nvidia, like I'm gonna go for the break. The high is at 905.50. I'm just going to go for the break. And if I cross 50 cents and miss it, then I don't get the trade. The thing about it when you're taking a breakout trade going in, if your stop doesn't fill, then you just don't get into the trade. It's on the way out that's obviously going to suck. But I feel like if I get the trade and I'm in the first 50 pennies there, then it should be like a quick little, just work the way it's been happening to set upside. So if 905 goes, excuse me, I'm taking the long. There, Pablo, is there any kind of tutorial how to make your setup on that platform? Do you mean like in general, if you trade at Real Trading, there's a wiki which helps explain how to set up the platform. I mean, you get training on that if you sign up. So absolutely there is, and you can 100%. You go in there, like it's really easy to do. Like as a matter of fact, when people come in new, I just say pull up the wiki. Have all of the different tabs open as you're making your layup. It's like layout up. It's super easy to do, and it's highly customizable. So the answer is a resounding yes, like 100%. Like you don't come in and you have to figure out the platform by yourself. I mean, no. I'm laughing as if that's ridiculous, but it's probably entirely possible for other places. But I can tell you that's not true here. All that said, like a lot of mine are just like the defaults. Like if you look the color scheme, like the color scheme on my level 2, it's just probably some crap that you had, Sean. I don't know, like this
probably.
one.
I mean, it's literally
like nobody.
You don't ever have to change it.
Nobody uses these colors. Look, I even have the trailing zeros, and none of these stocks.
Look behind me. It's my layout everywhere
so
back there.
Nobody really uses those anymore. But anyways, yeah, it's highly customizable. It's fantastic. So good luck there. AMD 184 possible. Let's have a quick look at AMD. I don't know. Like is that significant? That's significant from this morning, not this afternoon. That's this level here. So if it breaks 184, I'm probably already taking a breakout trade in Nvidia at that point, I would guess.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing before we started this show, was the trading floor development team is what you're looking for. So, they'll help you develop your layout. I mean, look, most of it is just right-clickable. You can right-click and then literally just fix your colors like me and Neil were just talking about. You could do everything here. Very, very easy. So it's just kind of pretty simple trading right there. Okay, yep, I will. So right now, P&L from, do we have to go immediately or is it for Frank?
No, it's not for you. It's not ready.
Okay, let's go to Brent. Not immediately, okay, good.
But
having a technical difficulty.
NVIDIA and Microsoft just announcing major integrations to accelerate generative AI for enterprises everywhere. So they're talking about Azure, they're talking about Copilot, they're talking about a few other details for NVIDIA and Microsoft, guys.
All right. Yeah, shout out to Mr. Longshorts. He's saying Dimitri's the man. Yeah, so I trained Dimitri. He replaced me, and he's much better than me. So shout out to Dimitri. He is the man. Ask him about me, Mr. Longshorts. Okay, so yesterday, top 10 traders in the company for Real Trading. We had somebody trading the Amex and NASDAQ yesterday. That was near, these are all US dollars, 14,000 yesterday. Remember, the thing about this kind of trading is we all have stop losses and stuff like that. So it's very rare that you're going to see like 50 grand or 70 grand or something, because most traders' stops are going to be adjusted to what they make. So it's kind of tough to have monster numbers. Not to say it's not possible. I'll show you them as much as we can. 3 traders yesterday, $10,000. Someone yesterday in Canada made 9 grand. So only traded, you see what I'm saying? Only the Canadian markets yesterday. So good job on that one. And then as we go 9 and 10, just so in case I show this to you, or if you are with us, like in Mr. Long Shorts, 9 and 10 are just kind of random markets where they just show markets where, like yesterday on Jeff Mendel's OTC market, someone made $1,200. So that was just the number one trader on that. This trader could have made, $2,000. But it's just, that's the number one trader there. Then I guess Hong Kong, not so good yesterday, only $700. But there it is yesterday. No Europe names from yesterday. So that's kind of strange. All right, so the Qs. We are going to bid down here at the 50 period moving average in and around 50s. We're still into 30%. We'll try to get out of the rest of this and see if we can. So that's going to be a trade for us there. If it comes back, that's that. And then, yeah, Coinbase looks like it wants to go up. I heard in my ear the same thing that Brendan reported to us, and that was that there are withdrawal issues, and sometimes it's looking like they're going pending. And Coinbase has come out and said there's nothing wrong with any of the withdrawals, just that it is going to show pending. Sure. So maybe it's taking a little bit longer than they thought to withdraw your coins. So not great rate there at all. Today, yeah, look, I don't have, what's up, Skip? I talk about it all the time when I'll go, I'm 5 and 2 or I'm 1 and 5. And yeah, today, not too many wins, man. The triple Qs is going to be up for us. Coinbase is going to be up for us. But you're right, Tesla position pending, but it's going to be basically flat, but that's going to be down. Nvidia is hella down. So that's bad. And then after that, I mean, not much else, man. We have Amazon right there. And then the one trade that we actually didn't talk about, this is going to be a red marker, but we traded a firm short. A firm made a nice move up today, like during this, and I wanted to short it against the pre-market. So we did that. We got 80s there, and there's the out 70. That's only a dime. We always take that. Then we average it in and get out for 10-cent hit or 12-cent hit there at the end. So take a 95, take an 80, boom, right there, upside. So yeah, that's definitely a hit. So yep. Good call out on that one. And like I told you, I don't have a problem telling you when we're in first. Today we're in last. I mean, you guys asked about share size. I traded with bigger shares, and when I got hit there, I got smoked on Nvidia, and I told you that. So unfortunately, today is just another one of them days. But we'll make it back. We were leading the office yesterday, not after today, though. We won't be. So we'll give it back. But here goes Nvidia. Let's see what happens if we break through 9 bills.
I just wanted to quickly say that entire thing on Microsoft and Nvidia, Microsoft didn't even budge. If they're talking up Microsoft partnership with Nvidia with more, that 420 level, we're just chilling right there. Because the first thing I thought about was, is it breaking 420 again on Softy? There's 420, kind of like a double top in the afternoon yesterday. It was a good trade to the long side. The only mistake might have been, whatever, it's not a mistake. It was strong early on, and there was an opportunity when it went red to green. So you can call it a mistake. I call it a missed opportunity. Like, there is a clear key price level at 417. Closed right at 417. It then broke back out, wicked the bottom, and then regained that. That's a clear consolidation higher at a key level. It's a really good setup. I'm just sort of thinking a 420 breakout again. It's like slowly moving back upside. And this is, to me, this has more to do with the strength in the stock than whether or not there's any kind of oomph to this because there was that talk of them at the Nvidia conference. I mean, that moved the stock 20 cents just now. However, it is slowly grinding off of that level, and if it can take 420 again, maybe it can get back up into the 421. That's something that worked in the afternoon as well. Go ahead. That GIL?
No, I was just going to look at it. Did it
still
reopen?
halted. No, it's still halted.
Okay, it's still halted. Well, I'm just hearing now because there's more.
What are they saying?
It's not much. They're just saying right here, so I'll show it to you. Just that there's multiple people reaching out to the counterparties, so on and so forth. Says something there. There's another note right here. Several of these counterparties expressed an interest. So friendly transaction. They just want to, so they're going to halt it. This is the responsible thing to do. Gilden just putting out note. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing they got halted with the 10% move. That would make sense. But again, halting, understanding that it's going to be a friendly takeover. They want to listen to some bids, and Gilden might not open up today.
the responsible thing is to not open it up until you actually hear the details of the deal, because then everyone can trade with the right information. Like, that's what you should do. Spirit Airlines didn't do that famously last year. I think we are now ready. Let's get on over to the desk. We've got Frank Caberna. Lead us into that Fed, Frank.
Yeah, lots going on, lots to unpack here, not only today, Frank, but coming up tomorrow as well with, it's Fed Day tomorrow, if anyone hadn't looked at their calendar yet this week. Let's start off with this Bank of Japan note, though, this morning. I was kind of hinting at the simple fact, if anyone was with us in the morning, that there's been rumblings about this for quite some time, it seems, but it never really amounted to anything. And then all of a sudden, they just picked today to, for the first time in 8 years, get out of negative interest rates.
Yeah, a quite historic day for Bank of Japan, Japanese economy, for a number of reasons. How it's translating to the market, we'll get to in a second. But yeah, Japan hikes interest rates, Brendan, for the first time since, I believe, 2007 is the last time that they hiked. And now they've come out of negative territory for the first time since, I believe, like 2017. Right. And it feels like this should be a momentous time for, the Japanese economy didn't see the upside that the US and Canada, Australia, the UK, Euro area saw after the pandemic. And so they didn't see the inflation, and so they didn't raise interest rates. And so now, finally, central bankers in Japan feeling confident enough in the Japanese economy to raise interest rates from negative 10 basis points to 0. And the price action that we're seeing in Japanese yen is exactly the opposite of what you would theoretically think would happen after what would be deemed a hawkish type of central bank activity. The Japanese yen is sinking back down to 30-year lows. And this type of thing happens for a number of reasons. You recently saw the Bitcoin ETF kind of buy the rumors, sell the news price action of the Bitcoin bullishness going into that ETF finally being approved. And then after the fact, it gave back some ground. Here you're seeing something very similar to your point, Brendan. We've been talking about these rumblings, rumors of the Bank of Japan hiking from negative 10 basis points to at least 0 or in the positive territory for about 3 or 4 months now. I think the rumors go back to December. And now that they've finally done it, you might expect, this Japanese yen is going to see a bunch of strength. Japanese markets in general should be showing strength. But one, they only got to 0%. And two, they actually came out quite dovish with the idea that they're not likely to go crazy with rate hikes unless inflation gets out of hand there in Japan. And so you see the US dollar strength reemerge as it sets in that even if the US cuts a couple of times this year, a couple of times next year, Japan's at 0%, and the US would be cutting from 5.5%. And so very different environments. But a great example of when you have these central bank meetings, Brendan, even if something is 100% priced in, or with this Bank of Japan, everybody's expecting that they're going to hike at some point here in 2024. They finally come through and do it, and you expect to see, Japanese yen upside, or, Japanese interest rates take off to the upside off of an event like this. You can't predict anything. And in fact, if everybody's been talking about it for weeks and months, and it's already priced in, you might get stuff going in the other direction, which brings us to tomorrow's Fed meeting. A lot of potential, even though there's pretty much no potential for a rate cut or rate change of any kind.
It'll be interesting to keep an eye on how things play out in Japan. I think I had really good friends who just came back from traveling there, and they were alluding to, it wasn't the first time that they had gone, and they were alluding to the amazing increases in the prices just since the last time they had been there to this time that they went. Transportation, there's a weekly transportation pass in Tokyo, but you can go from city to city that went from, the equivalent of like $250 to $500.
Really?
Just, from trip to trip for them. So, yeah, that, you kind of alluded to the inflation rate there and what will happen going forward. But anyways, yeah, really, really interesting story, historic, as you mentioned. Let's talk about what is to come here tomorrow. As you mentioned, no hike. It's going to be, again, it seems like we say this every single time, it's going to be about what Fed Chair Powell says at 2:30.
Yeah, likely to be no change at all. And we continue to stare at the odds for the upcoming Fed meetings that are really dwindling. 7% chance of a cut in May. And you and I looked at this last week and it was around 4% chance, but I mean, this isn't really a market increase. And when we've looked at this, if you were to look at any spot that I've done here on the network with you all in the last 3 or 4 months, if we looked at the May probabilities, they were much higher than 4 or 7%. They were greater than 50% at certain points at the end of 2023. And so we'll see if this shifts at all. I think it would take a really dovish statement from Powell. Essentially, he would have to come out and say, we like where inflation's at for them to start to price in a potential cut in May, because that is the next meeting. The real one to watch seems to be June, as this is really close to 50-50. And this is one that continues to dwindle. I think we looked at this last week and it was about 65% chance of a cut by the June meeting. And now it's down to a 60% chance, really close to 50-50 here this week. And this is one, Brendan, that, okay, they are likely to come out and not change rates. After that, though, we're going to get the statement from the central bankers. We're going to get the press conference from Powell. We're going to get the dot plot here, the first one of 2024. And those items are going to change those probability distributions that we just showed for May to an extent. Like I said, maybe there's an outside chance of a big shift, but maybe it gets priced out completely, which wouldn't be a big shift. But those June probabilities are going to change based on those 3 items that we'll get from the Fed after they don't change rates. And that's going to have an effect on every asset class down the line. I mean, we just talked about, we're seeing I don't know if you want to call it a flight to quality here today in US dollar, pretty much across the major currency board, especially against that yen, but also against the Australian dollar and against your Canadian dollar, USD seeing some strength. But there also are correlations and implications across gold and crypto, and to an extent, the stock market, of what is said tomorrow and how that sets up for that June meeting. Because, yeah, if they price out that June rate cut, Brendan, then that's a real substantial change to what markets have priced in terms of lower rates for this year. And I think if they start to price that out, given Fed Chair Powell's words tomorrow in the dot plot for June, that I think could have some negative implications on the stock market and the gold market, and some continued positive implications for this strengthening US dollar market.
Yeah, we've touched on the fact many times. You mentioned the Canadian side of things. We've touched on the fact that our economies, U.S. and Canada, are very, very different in many, many facets. The Canadian economy has been nowhere near as strong through this period as the U.S. dollar or the U.S. economy. We had Canadian CPI this morning, Frank, 2.1 on the core print. So, I mean, we're essentially there. It was 2.8 on the headline number. It was down from 2.9 on a month-over-month basis. So that was a surprise, I think, coming off, especially what happened with the U.S. the last time.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for if you're trying to build a bullish case for this U.S. dollar, and we've seen at certain points, historic U.S. dollar runs. We're right there in yen, but I mean, we've seen 95 cents for the euro. And we've seen a buck and a nickel or a $1.10 in the pound And yeah, lower prices for the Canadian dollar as well. And if you're trying to build that case, it is continued strength in the US and no rate cuts coming in 2024, or at least less than what was expected. Less than 2 or 3 rate cuts in 2024 could potentially carry that US dollar higher. Now, if they do come out dovish and Fed Chair Powell says, essentially inflation is tracking in the right direction, we're feeling good about it, then the flip side, right? I mean, you see similar to what you saw with that Canadian dollar here today, where inflation comes in lower than expected, essentially equivalent to a dovish speech from the Canadian central bankers, and the Canadian dollar starts to move lower. Implications across other asset classes, though, and I brought in the correlations in that second column. You have the U.S. Treasury bond ETF, which isn't a one-for-one equivalent with the Fed funds rate, the overnight rate that the Fed changes, but it's pretty darn close. Treasury yields are very highly correlated to the Fed funds rate. And what you see there is, okay, if bond prices are moving higher, that means yields are moving lower or more rate cuts are getting priced in. And what markets have a positive effect from bonds moving higher or more rate cuts getting priced in? The S&P 500 has, with that positive 0.18 correlation. The gold market has had a really strong correlation to upside if rate cuts are priced in there at positive 0.39. And then that US dollar on the flip side has a really strong correlation to this as well. And I threw in Bitcoin just because obviously so much price action, but you can take away a couple of things here. If they start to talk more rate cuts, dollar lower, gold higher, vice versa, for less rate cuts. But also what's increasingly interesting to me is that the stock market, the crypto market, a lot of these asset classes, Brendan, aren't seeming to care yet, at least. If it's still just a question of when will the rate cuts come, the stock market hasn't really been correlated in one direction or the other to what Fed Chair Powell has to say.
And we also haven't had I don't think anyways, we also haven't had one of those events in this move back down in inflation where there's been an outside, like a really, really outside print to the upside once again, which has helped, I think. But yeah, no, good point. More to come tomorrow. Obviously, we'll learn a little bit, hopefully, from Fed Chair Powell in the afternoon. Frank Caberna, Director of Strategy over at IG.com in Chicago. Thanks again.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks as always, Frank. And I think, like you said, like tomorrow, you might not get anything, but you might get everything in some ways. And there's not gonna be a move in the rates. But when it comes to like that dot plot, like finally there'll be like something to look at. Like, how far are we pushing it down the line? And maybe the market doesn't care if it's only a month because it's going to happen at some point this year, and everyone has a grip on like how many it might be. But you never know what Jerome is going to say. You absolutely never know. He can get to that podium and scare the crap out of everybody. A couple of things. Macy's had some news. You mentioned the news on Macy's before we went.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but there was news.
It was they opened their books up to now I forget the firm that it was. They opened their books up to Arkhouse and Brigade Capital. So obviously for the potential of being bought, like if they're going to put a deal in, but like it went up from 2160 to 2210. On the way back, it held 2160. But now cannot get past 2180. So I got the long in front of the 60 level. I've only been able to scalp out 78s a couple times. That's about it. That's all it's given you. If it breaks under 60, I'm just gonna get the last of this out. But Micron finally broke down there. Too many M names. It just went sideways for way too long. Now keep in mind, this was going sideways into a lot of the upward press in the market when the NASDAQ was just kind of grinding higher into the top. This was going sideways at 94. So it's pulled back into the low 80s. I've taken some out. I have a 70 bid, a 60 bid, and then in the 50s. And if it breaks that, maybe we get down to VWAP. This was a case of, well, if the market's going up and it's got a brick wall on it, I mean, somebody's selling it at that price level and won't let it break up with the rest of the move and the market. So I'm just going to join it. And for now, it's working. We're back into VWAP on Alphabet. If it breaks VWAP here, I have a bid down at 75, and then let's see if it can get back into 146.5. But this was a case of, I remember when I got this, and I was waiting for it off of VWAP, and I'm like, this is just, if you can get out of the way on the way up of a stock, like I liked it for a lower high curl, but I didn't do it with a stop out. Like I didn't have a stop in, because I'm like, yeah, it's not really doing anything. Google's not moving. And when this happens, sometimes you want to be able to cancel that order. I should have just punched out as fast as I could, but I threw a stop in and it actually ran that stop. This is what we say about getting in on the back end. Allow it to make a top and then get in. Allow it to make a top and then get in. It's a safer way to execute against the grain. If you're going to be like fading moves to higher, if you can catch it on the way back in, that's going to work. Mara starting to work back down. It can't seem to break 19, but it did not break that lower high of 1925 either. So this one also working back into the downside. Macy's, I don't know. There might be nothing to that. Like it's just, oh, so they're opening up their books. That's no guarantee you're actually going to get an offer after that. So it could just be nice little bounce on the retracement, and it could easily give up to 60, and then I'm done with it.
All right, here we go, man. There it is. It's a $3 winner. Coinbase. So Coinbase there hits the 230. We talked about bidding that 230.30. I guess it's $2.60 or so. So there's the fill right there. We took that out. So good trade. Now it's going to break, of course, as we go lower. But it's all good, baby. We are now $5 in the money on Nvidia. It just sucks that we didn't get more short here. We were waiting at 903. You guys see that flash? No, probably not. We're waiting at 903 here. It doesn't matter. We're waiting at 903 for that fill to come through. And by the way, another one right here, spin it. So, you know, not proud to have such a huge hit on Nvidia today, but really proud of the Qs and really proud of Coinbase coming in again here today. Really proud of this AMD short at 195, 185 to begin the day. So yeah, man, I mean, a bunch of good stuff, bunch of good trades happening over here. And I'm pretty happy with all that. Look what we just got on the Qs. I mean, boom. Like, this has been good, man. I mean, this is a $500, $400 and something name. I would have traded the TQs today, but today we had to pay. So I could have gone over to SQs, so I just said forget about it. The buying power that I have is, like, I don't even look at prices. Like, even though NVIDIA is $900, I don't even, like, you know, it could take, honestly, 1,000 shares. Like, it's not, okay, here we go. I am bidding here 892. So here we come back in. I mean, this is a nice low bid. We just hit 80s. We just hit 93s. I'm wondering about getting out now at 93. Maybe we should just do that and then try to hold another piece. 893, 50s, something like that. If we're able to dip back into that and get that, then we'll do it. So darn it, we just missed that place. That was 892.96. We're at 890, I mean, basically 893. We're at 892 quarters. It's all good. Hopefully we do fall back in and get that. We'll wait for 890 to come out, but we're going to bid, excuse me, I just basically chugging the water with a very washed up Trader TV Live milk jug. These are supposed to be blue.
It's, so I always, when I come in the mornings, I usually look for one that's not faded.
Yeah, I just grabbed it.
I know, I'm weird like that. Like I'm not OCD, but like I like little things like that. Like these are fantastic, by the way, because you get that nice little leader.
There we go.
I remembered I was actually trying to take a sip of that. Market's coming back to the downside if you haven't noticed. So in the vein of trimming, I said I'd get some out at 75 on Google. We'll ring the register on that one. Intel I haven't reloaded, so there's not much. Like I didn't get a reload on Intel. Come on, chart. I didn't get that reload on Intel, so I'm looking if it holds VWAP, I get out. If it breaks VWAP, I hold. Mara is a little bit stronger. Like look at the 19. There's like a 40,000 share refresher that showed up a couple times at 19. So I just took another leg out there. This is clearly stronger than the rest. And when that happens, you want to make sure you're getting out. Next fill's down at 93.6 as Micron continues to work into the downside. We're going to Adara at the desk.
Just keep an eye on US Steel or X here, guys. Not really reacting too much, but the Fly reporting here that US Steel shared an email to employees regarding strong support for the Nippon Steel deal. So just another update with regards to the ongoing back and forth as to whether or not this deal will go through. X, keep an eye on for that. Also, we are brought to you, or this part of the show is brought to you by IG. Got opinions on central bankers, geopolitics, and economic data? Apply your macro views with a Forex account at IG. Currencies like Euro and USD can require as little as 2% margin rates and offer $0 commission trading using a Forex account at IG. For a limited time, traders can open, fund, and trade with IG for up to $10,000 in funding bonuses. Terms and conditions apply.
And maybe you can get the signed picture from Frank if you signed up. No, I'm just making that up. You probably can't. But the market might give up this support level. I almost said bottom, but this is not a bottom in the market. It's a range-bound low, which was resistance in the aftermarket, like the overnight market, I should say, and is now turned into a support level. If 1824 goes, I want to hold on to a piece of something. Probably, I mean, Micron, because it's got the key level, makes the most sense. But I think we could get down to VWAP there. It's 3:09. We're in a power hour. The market is in the midst of the first real dip that we've had. Where's my 50 bid? I'm going to get one out of 55s. We continue to work that one to the downside. I'm Kincaid spiking it because I'm all in on Dalton Kincaid. I was actually asked if I would trade Travis Kelce in my Dynasty League, and I said a resounding yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's TD6.
I won't. No. This guy actually thought he could get him for less than a first-round pick.
He costs more than a first-round pick.
He literally was like, my picks are 17. Late second-round picks for Travis Kelce, and it's the same guy that made the CMC deal. And I was just like, I can't talk to you, dude.
No. Yeah, Kelsey's fallen from grace. But yeah, Kincaid definitely better than him, I would say. So hold on to that. All right, Nvidia right now is $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 in the money right now. Coinbase is now $1. Smoking. Awesome. Right now, Coinbase is $3 in the money. I don't know why we're on Amazon. There's Coinbase right now trying to go lower. Let's just hold on to this. Let's see if we get, I don't want a crypto wreckage. I mean, trust me, I don't want that, but into the day, why not? I mean, at the end of the day, we're short Coinbase already. This is a big sticky no play, man, and you guys wanted some big plays on the board. I mean, I don't know. We have monster plays on the board right now. Every single trade we have is $1 in the money. Tesla right now is $1 in the money. The Qs right now is not $1 in the money. So that's when we have Jerome Powell. I'll talk tomorrow, man. Tomorrow's a big day for you. Get some sleep, my guy, like I need to get. Nice move to the downside right there for the triple Qs coming right in there right now. Hopefully that continues to go down. 3 for Qs, 7 now for Nvidia as we're bouncing off 890. Look, we took that 893 fill. So there's the fill right there, 893 off of a short 898 fill. It's only $5, but better than nothing right there for Nvidia as we make a lot back here in the afternoon. But this killed me. I'm going to tell you that right now. When this broke 895 was not good. We didn't need to short that. We saw these levels here, 895. It was yesterday's kind of peak right there. I trusted that it wouldn't break it, and it did. And we got crushed on that trade. So again, a trade that completely, responsible for that. You can't have big winners if you don't have big losers. And, like I told you, we were doing really well this month, and we'll get it all back. It's fine. It's just that crushed right there, our dreams for today. But we're now getting it right back in. Remember we were bidding 888s? Well, there it is right there. You got to have a little bit of faith. We took some out at 893. Here comes the drop in. Hopefully it fades out the rest of the day. I mean, the NASDAQ should go. There's Qs. So we said everything was $1 in the money, and now we don't have to look like a liar because there goes the Qs. 9 on Nvidia, 4 on Coinbase, $1 on Tesla, and another 1 on the Qs. So add it all up, we're about 15 in the money across the board.
Yeah, I'm just working off of the risk to reward here. And at the end of the day, your trade should always be where is the in, where is the out? Right now, Google, it looks like it's about to break that support level, but we're short off the 47 even with the local high at the 13. So we're risking 15 cents. There's always going to be some slippage on the trade. So if it gets down into the 50s, I think we want to take that. Micron, we're going to let this one fall. The next level is going to be out in here, right? So there's your morning high. There's your consolidation above it. That's about 93.25. So I'm bidding in front of 93.3. We're going to let it work down into that. That was a 94 off a 94.15 high. So that's continuing to give you a bit of a fall. And the thing about what I liked about this is it was telling you the whole time, this could have broken higher. Like you could have gone long this same trade in Micron with a stop at the bottom, and if the market continued to rally, it probably gives you the same thing in the other direction. So obviously it's just the risk to reward on a level like that. Mara it just now broke the 19 even. I'm gonna back off this 18.9 and wait for it to get to 18.8. But this almost feels like it's a little bit too strong. So I'm kind of happy that, obviously when you have short off resistance on like umpteen stocks, it's good to have found that resistance level, but they could easily take out that top. Like I could short this, it could break out the high, and then you just got to accept it when that does happen. So we're happy about it to the downside. I'm going to back off, at least for now, the 176 on Apple. Hey, look at that. The wicks disappeared on their own. I didn't even clean them up this time. So 176, like it just bounced off that level, and then it's going back higher as the market's coming down. So I feel as if the market breaks lower, I don't know if that's going to still be good. Like the 176 bounce, you kind of needed to take it while Frank was on. Like the Frank bounce was good for there. If we continue lower on the futures, I think you got to wait around for something a little bit lower than that. Let's ride the momentum into the downside. And if you're still, that Gil stock, that's not really doing anything. Oh, Macy's, I'll give you the update on Macy's. Macy's broke 60, I got out. There was a bounce, we got a couple of legs out. It then broke the low, I covered, it held 50. So if I actually hold it through, it would have worked out for me. But then I'm breaking my rule. If I'm long in front of 60, I'm out when 60 breaks. The volume has really died down. Like look at the candle on the news, and then look at it since. I feel like this one's kind of dead, so we'll stay away from Macy's.
All right, $13 in the money, but it doesn't really matter. I wanted to talk to somebody here. Where's my guy Bert? Where is he? Here he is, Bert666. All right, so Bert finds it funny that we mentioned dollar amounts versus percentage. I don't, now that I'm $13 in the money, I don't know what percentage that is. Like, percentage of what? It's not, we trade on a prop floor, so I'm just talking to you right now, Bert. Like, I don't have a problem telling you whatever you want to know. It's just, we don't have, I don't know what percentage this is. This is like 0.00001% of my buying power. So I don't look at things like how much I returned on the day or anything like that. I just look at straight P&L. I don't.
That's a retail metric.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So here on a prop floor, we don't deal with that. All I deal with is this right now, stacking. So wherever it goes, and we'll deal with it from there. So. We're just $13 in the money. We're $4 in the money here. And like I said, I don't know what percentage that is. Like on a $100 stock, if I'm $4 in the money, you want me to say 4%? I don't know, but it is a retail metric. So we don't really use that here. But what we do use is this. Money. Because there goes the triple Qs, man. We nailed this one today, guys. Big one here on the triple Qs. So despite us getting nailed on Nvidia, we're 15% in the money of what we've lost just right now on this trade. So let alone all these other trades that we have on Nvidia. But that was a bad one. There's no doubt about that. As we start to come back in right now, watch out for these levels. I'm thinking about just capturing some profit if we break above that 888. So 889 right now. Let's get the rest out of this trade. We were trying to get more up there at 903. But that just didn't fall in for us. So 889.01. Let's just get out of the rest. It'll suck to give some back, but if I keep on holding it, maybe it will get better, right? But we could also 889. Yeah, 888. All right, let's just do an 888, Phil, so we don't give back that extra dollar. Because also remember, we have spread issues. So we already talked about this. Let's go 888.11 or something like that. Hopefully. That will trigger, let's go 01. So this is what goes through my mind is just it's just going to market it out. So, the minute it breaks 888, let's try to be aggressive and boom, get that out right now. So we'll give up $3. We could get out right now at 885. We're not. We're going to wait for 888s. If you are in this position with me or by yourself, decide what you want to do. We've already talked about it today. We'll bring up the rear today for sure. And well, maybe not actually, but we'll wait to see here if this goes back through 888. Do your own decision. Where are the markets going to be tomorrow, Louisa?
In New York. Well, Jersey.
Yeah,
some will be. Technically, the data centers are in Jersey.
Yeah, some of them will be also in the CME maybe tomorrow. But no, honestly, I mean, if we're going to look at the chart, where are they going to be tomorrow? You mean after Powell? I mean, we already know what's going to happen. So every time Jerome speaks, the market goes up. So I would say probably, if we come in tomorrow and we're like around 18.1 again, then I would say probably 18.3. Like if we can get above 18.3 today, then I think we can get to 18.4, 18.5 tomorrow. But we just gotta we gotta get above there. Like if any time tomorrow we're above 18.3, I think you could have a nice rally. So let's wait to see where we go on that one. The dot plot should be interesting. We talked about that coming back as well. So
and that we get right away. So relatively right away. So they actually
2:30, 50. I'm going to start
right away at 2 o'clock. Like we're going to get an opportunity to have some kind of a look. I mean, you're going to get the prepared statements, and then we'll get the dot plot released, and then we get to wait 25 minutes or a half an hour until Jerome Powell comes in. So when it comes to the thing about trading, and the thing sort of Sean said, is like it ultimately it only matters, like when you make a trade, what is your entry, what is your reason, what is your exit? So when we're talking about trades, I'm only going to frame it in that way because you've got to trade your own book. It's about trading setups. Like for myself, the most active name right here was Intel. Every time we got in, it's like I'm in here off 42.20. The stock is breaking down. I had to stop at 30. It didn't stop out. I trailed out here and just jumped back in because I realized, hey, it's still trending to the downside. I shorted in front of VWAP. VWAP held. Look at it hold the higher low. I never like to see that when you're shorting a stock. I reload, I made another higher low, I stopped out. My stop was right here at that top. So I was shorting it at 74 with a stop at essentially 81, and I got 82s out. And then I had a short here for almost in and out like right away for 3 cents, which you shouldn't do, but I realized that's not the right price. I waited for it to get back to the top level. It hit the same stop from the morning, which is 42.30. When it came back in, I shorted underneath that and into VWAP. Right now, I'm trailing it. So if it holds VWAP and breaks 41.92 or 3, where my trail stop is, I'm out of that stock, or I'll give it a chance to break VWAP. It's about your trading plan. And I think that's the thing that is of value is, does your plan work, and in what ways can you change it to get better or worse, or all that kind of good stuff. And that's what's going to end up mattering at the end of the day for most of you. And Mara is about the power, I think. I got some more out at that 19, and I'm not even sure I want to reload this. Like I think it could just break out this 19.25, and then we just get the you-know-what out of Dodge when it comes tomorrow. Like it just looks to me like the higher lows, Bitcoin is holding right up here. This is IBIT, obviously, looking like it wants to break and make a retest to that high. As a matter of fact, it hasn't even broken yet, and Mara's going. So Mara's actually relatively strong, bracing for that high of the day. So I'm not thinking a reload here in Mara. Google just came out. That's a trail out. It could not hold underneath VWAP, so we shorted 47s into 146.8 and then 70. And now we just got 10 cents on the last little bit. I didn't want that getting all the way back to the high because it's above VWAP when the market's at the low. So it's showing some relative strength, so I'm jumping out of it. All the shorts that we're in worked, but it's just about managing the trade at this point.
All right. $17 winner. I got to say thank you so much to everybody up there. Other people get shook, man. Here it is. What's up, Bob W? We were shook on Nvidia for sure, but we don't stop. We don't stop doing what we're doing. Yeah, so thank you for seeing that. And now we're right back in it, and all is well in love and war. All right, we have some of our stops, and man, we're making a lot of money back here in the afternoon, guys. Darn. All right, so here we go. Now, we'll see what happens here. We're $15 in the money and still going lower. I'm now changing this stop, I think, to 885. Like, honestly, if we can, maybe we just take this out, and grab this 880 fill right now to the downside. This has been a monster trade. Like, so we should probably debate doing this and just take this out right now. It's getting close to the end of the day, so let's think about doing it. Our stop is up at 888s. We held this all the way down, And again, real trading, guys, this is real trading. You want to wait for these plays. We talked about this. I talked about the kind of month that you can have, and this is what we're talking about. Big time plays that can come into play here. So like we were really shook by getting hit on that trade, right? I mean, we just had too many shares there. I really thought that level was going to hold. And by the way, we were dead right. We were just wrong by 50 cents. Like it went up there and then it cranked down 10 bucks. So I'm still confident in what we're doing. It's just that time we definitely missed that trade and we should have done better there. All right, 883.01, if that gets hit. Oh, there it goes. All right, we'll have to change that to 884, I guess. And then get out if it does break a little bit higher than 884. So, all right, that's the trade there. We just set that, and now we will forget that as it looks like we'll get out. Oh, there it is. So that's final right there. We'll spin that register right there and put on, again, another one for everybody right there. $14.50 to the downside there. Not too bad trade there on Nvidia.
Yeah, I mean, Nvidia is going to give you the juice. That's the thing. Like, it's the one today. I mean, okay, fine. I should probably point out that SMCI might move more dollars, but I've said before, I don't think that's a very day tradable stock. Like what we're talking about with spreads on SMCI, you can capture $15 by risking a couple of dollars on Nvidia. You can't do that on SMCI. And I'm not saying that to be flippant about it. It's just that I've traded this stock a couple of times, and I had 1,000 short yesterday in it, and I was sitting like 10 bucks in the money. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna tighten my stop like I would in anything else. It then ran my stop and dropped 50 bucks, and it's like, okay, well, you know, that's what this stock does. Actually, today, yuck, this is still under $900. This is gonna be, I think this is at 750 bucks next week. Unless Jerome does something insane. If Jerome rallies the market, nothing matters. But I look at this chart, like, why wouldn't it be at $750 the way that this thing is heading into the downside? But watch out for Mara. This is why we took some more shares out at 19. And I'm not reloading it, because it's just going to take out that high. So it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. You got higher lows in this thing. It was the same thing down here when we shorted it off VWAP. Eventually, what is good must come to an end. And I think this is taking out the top. Boring man, I'm short because it hasn't run my stop yet. I took profit. I took more out at 19 when it held support, but it hasn't taken out that top on the last bit. Now, if it gets back underneath this 19.25 and doesn't take this high, I'll probably just jump out at 19, and actually I'll get on the bid right now. So I did make an adjustment to my risk plan, which was to get more out when it looked strong and then not to reload when it got back to my price. So that's the way that I adjusted on this. Now, obviously, I could have gotten it all out there, and that would have been perfect. But it's not about being perfect. It's just about making the best decisions you can make in the moment. Hindsight's always going to be 20/20, at least most of the time. I mean, if hindsight's not 20/20 for you, then you're looking at the wrong data.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, there was a super chat, but I was just like, I responded. You got that? You have to ask Sharif. Jesus said, Sharif is yoked. What's his workout routine? So, in the midday, just ask him a question. We'll tell him he had a super chat there. I'm sure he'll let you know. Apparently, we're getting some protein, Sharif protein balls tomorrow. But you got to ask him what his personal routine is. The routine that I think matters for us here is, as traders, what's your daily routine? Make sure you stick to that. Like, I always check everything back to trading. If you have like a warm-up that you do when you're lifting or before you work out or whatever you do, it's the same thing for trading. Like, what do I look at the futures first? Do I do the outside in? Do I look at individual stocks that are on my list and then start from a daily chart and then go on to a 15-minute and then go to the lower time frame, mark off my key levels, read up all the catalysts? Like, that's your routine as a trader to try to get stronger and better. It's no different from anything else. Like, you just have to work at it. Let's go back to the desk with Adara.
Stock not really reacting too much to this, but keep in mind some more news with regards to Disney here. Reuters reporting that Disney and ESPN and the college football playoff agreement has been extended through to the 2031 to 2032 season. So basically that Disney has agreed with ESPN that it will be showing the college football playoffs on ABC. So nice look there. Just another catalyst with regards to Disney after that George Lucas support for Bob Iger earlier today, guys.
Maybe George. Oh,
Disney for me is Again, like first of all, I hope everybody understands that, traders are going to stay late. So stay late with me tonight for the market recap show. If you were part of the market recap show, you're probably long Palantir, way lower than where we are, and you're probably long Disney. I mean, we asked every single guest we had on for a very long time all about what they thought about the plays we were making on Disney. And honestly, we first bought some into this dip because we were trying to watch out for $80 bottom, which was also the COVID bottom. So we loaded up. I'm loaded up in my long-term account and in my swing account. We most recently just got some up here at 112.25 or something like that, because we failed that break right there at 115 and we came back in. So it was this very next day. The stock came back the very next day, and we got out right around there. Yeah, I did think it was a goner, but the stock came back. And then now today, it's going even higher. So we'll be props up on Disney, man. Try to get some out. I was talking with Mateo. He's looking at 120 and change. I think that would be great. So if we can get a fill up there, man, oh man, that would be real nice for Disney. And honestly, up here near 115, probably take some more out. I didn't realize how much I had on Disney until I saw the dividend payment, and I was like, what? And then I went to look. It's like that Solana crap coming through again. So, all right, there it is right there. We did get out of Nvidia for 15, 14 bucks. We could have trailed it. It did come back into 82 or 83, but again, we got out at 84. So I'm pretty happy with that. Regardless of, even if it goes down from now, we could always get back in right now. And then not worry about it. So I'm not going to worry at all about that trade. You know why? Because we've got $1.50 in the money on Tesla, and we have $1.50 in the money on the Qs. And I talked about these stocks as well today, and exactly what they're doing. The one thing I wanted to look at here, Apple was upside, but that wasn't it. Oh yeah, do we have the earnings board? Because if we do, we should probably call that up. But for right now, let's go over here and find out what's reporting tonight. ZTO. All right, Chinese company, hard pass on that one. Aftermarket health equity, Smith Douglas Homes, never heard of them. SDHC afterwards.
I like that name, Scholar Rock Holding. Like what they should do is they should have their conference call. They should get Jack Black on the conference call, and he should do some songs from School of Rock.
School of Rock
that would
is
make
great.
sense. That's actually not a bad movie.
ZEO?
I'm not familiar with.
Actually, this ZEO, I own this, actually, but I don't know why.
What is it?
It's the energy ETF in Toronto, so I don't know. All right, so it doesn't look like there's very many big names on here tonight, so you're just going to have to stay for my handsome face. And we should also have Brian Shannon later tonight, so if you want to stay with the best of us, come tonight, man. It is going to be your market recap show. And we'll just finish off our 10, 11 hours of work here today for everybody and stay late. Okay, let's go to the earnings board. All right. What do we have on here? Not much, as you can see. Let's look to tomorrow, man. General Mills, we talked about some of those fixed costs there for General Mills and Procter & Gamble and whatnot. We'll see if that can get any better for them.
PDD's the one for me.
Yeah, Jinko Solar's there. What's the one for you?
Pinduoduo.
Which one's that?
It's right up there.
Oh, Pinduoduo. Yeah. I see a bunch of Chinese names tomorrow. So, yeah. Watch out for FXI, then, the ETF.
Pinduoduo has retraced $50 from its highs, and it just brushed the 50 period at $130 today. If it rejects this, you could be down at 110. If it breaks it out, it's got room on top of room. The only thing that sucks about PDD is if you miss whatever the initial move is, it's kind of like that's it. Like right at 9:30, it's gonna do what it's gonna do. So you pretty much, it's not to say like hit it and quit it, but with Pinduoduo, like you get that initial break and just if you get yourself an entry and you've got to stop, it's like get the move, and then get out of Dodge, because every single day at the open, that's essentially what it does. There's the open there. I mean, there's the open tank, there's the open, one big move, that's as good as you get. Sometimes you get like a little bit of continuation, but for the most part, like, it's going to do its thing. And I think it's worth looking at. If there's no setup at the open, don't take it. But if you get a good trade off the open on Pinduoduo, then it does give you every opportunity to work out. I just trailed out of a few things there. One, MU came right back. We got 93.5 out. It just came right back into 94. So I'm not doing that dance with the 94 level. If it's going to go higher, I need to see it fail off that top again. So show me that you're going to go into the 94.10s and then fail one more time, and I can think about getting back into it. Mara somehow hasn't stopped out, which is, okay, I guess that's a good thing. But ultimately, I thought that was going to go first, and Mara did the wick shimmy. He kind of got up here, did not take out the high, so we don't need to be. I'm not adding to Mara here. I'm just going to get out in front of 19. Intel, my trail is right there. I'm trying to give it a chance to break down on Intel. This is the one we didn't get a reload in. Well, obviously, I got in before we came back on air, or added to it right before we came back on at 2 o'clock. So the shorts have been good. GC saying have a look at DWAC. Yeah, we'll look at anything that's moving. Yeah, DWAC's up 4% today. I don't remember hearing anything on DWAC. I could be wrong about that today. But maybe it's just, hey, it got back into this dip support and found itself a rally today. So a bit of a, I guess that's a reversal candle so long as nothing bad happens for the rest of the day. Still underneath the 50 period. That's worth a look. Like, that's a good reversal candle. The next thing usually is you find a higher low and go squeezing. That's not a given, I don't think, in DWAC's case, that you're going to find that higher low. I just looked over there, and that actually still says I'm short Micron. But you guys saw me get out, right? Like I showed you guys.
All right, reset the position board, Mr. Fabian, when you get a second. Okay, so just to talk about a few things here, we did get out. Neil said the position board's wrong.
No, it might, maybe it'll update
Current
in a
one.
second. Give it a minute, maybe.
No, it won't. That updates automatically. Okay, so we got out of Coinbase on a 231 breakout. It took the 50 period right there, so we got out right there at 231.17. Obviously, it's back in a little bit, but it was okay when we did it, up to 231.70. So there's the out on Coinbase, and I just double-checked. Coinbase is going to be the #1 name today, so Travolta will be like, nah, should have put more shares, man. One trade on Coinbase today, and that's all you need. So I'm going to look like crazy on some of these other names, like in Nvidia, so many trades. But yeah, Coinbase will be the #1, and then the #2 stock, P&L-wise today will be Qs. And look how many fills we have on this one as well. Just too many, but hey, if we're up on it and it's there, then it's there. All right, so what else? Nvidia, what else you guys want us to look at? Trump to make government platform amongst on winning. What's up, Papa Powell says that right now. So today's DWAC news was the emperor has no clothes and Trump can't pay, apparently, that fine that he had today. Or was that yesterday?
I thought it was yesterday.
I don't know. Here, I'll search it for everybody right now. Let's find out what's up with DWAC. All right, so we type in here DWAC, and we will have a quick look. So Supreme Court appeal seeking immunity. Okay, so we'll see if that has anything to do with it. And there it is right there. Must have been yesterday, but I don't see the story. But here it is here. Trump, and again, we're not talking, okay, that's all, literally all that it is. Trump files legal brief in U.S. Supreme Court seeking immunity from prosecution for trying to overturn his 2020 election. So I guess if he's trying to get immunity on all these things, then maybe that, sets the stage. But I guess he's already going to be the conservative.
I mean, he's already won the nomination.
Yeah, so I
think DWAC just kind of goes.
I'd watch out for DWAC.
If there's anything remotely positive, it's so illiquid.
Yeah, I don't trust that.
Digital word. It's on 1.5 million shares. Stock went from $32 to $37 on. I mean, decent volume for it. Like, look at the volume. Can we come to my chart, Ram? Like, this is actually probably the second biggest volume day outside of the tank yesterday. And this is 1.5 million shares. I mean, off the top of my head, what's a stock that trades at $37? Affirm. And again, it's the first thing that came to my mind. It doesn't really matter. Affirm's done 3.9 million shares. And Affirm is going to make moves about the same as DWAC. So just for reference, on a day where DWAC has news and is moving a lot, it's doing 40% of the volume that a similar stock in terms of volatility and price, and nothing's happening on Affirm. That's why we trade Affirm, and we don't always trade DWAC. Now, there are moments that you want to trade it. There's no question about that. It's just you need the liquidity, and if there's nothing there, then you don't want to move into it. I saw a lot of people saying AMD. In the chat, a couple. What's AMD doing?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's back under VWAP.
85 again. Ooh.
No, it's 85. No, it's under.
84 was the high.
81 broke down.
Shout out to D-Loaf right there. You nailed it right there. I said conservative. Obviously, the Republican Party is conservative, but we here have a conservative party. So you are right about that one. Caught me on my Canadiana there. All right, so Tesla, 172.60. We're going to get out. So just like we did on Coinbase, we're going to get out on everything if we start taking some of these key levels. So, we'll give a little bit back. We were waiting for a flush. We got a flush, and we took full advantage of it. It's too bad that we lost so much because we made back a lot, but we won't be able to get green today. Not on these plays, that's for sure, unless something else pops in real quick, man. That's why I was hoping that AMD was up there. We could short it, but just let me just talk about this before I go. So 438.12, that's going to be my out. That's right here. That's the 200 period is 08. We'll give it a little bit more love into that level right there. So that's coming out no matter what for about 85 cents. Or 85 cents. Yeah, that's what we're in the money on there. We're in 92 cents. Tesla, we're in the money of $1.20, but it did go down here to 171. I mean, this was sort of a rounding error. So we don't have that many shares here. We just miscalculated how much to get out there. We were waiting for VWAP. Once it bounced out there, I thought I put the order to get out of everything. I did not. I only put the order to get out of 75% of everything that we had left, which wasn't that much to begin with. So rounding error there on Tesla. If it takes this out, we'll get out. But yeah, a good end of the day today. And we will cheer on Adara, who's got some news.
This part of the show brought to you by Trade Ideas. Real-time scanning and alerting used in our desk by many of our traders every day. See what's moving in the moment with Trade Ideas. Check out the link in the description for 20% off.
Oh, there was Playboy.
Oh, you made me look, Darwin.
What?
Playboy, was there news just now?
Yeah, there is news.
Oh, okay.
Look at the stock, man. It just bumped up 15%.
It did, but the volume is 178,000.
Well, look at the spread. The spread is 6 cents. Come over to my screen.
178,000 for a penny stock? I haven't seen that before.
The spread is too huge. So, it's halted probably. That's probably why.
No, is it?
No?
Doesn't.
No, hold on a second. No, I just saw print. I just saw print.
Jinx.
Yeah, okay, not halted for sure. When I saw a spread of like 6 cents there, like now even 3 cents.
On a penny stock, like
too much. And especially with this kind of volume, you don't really care about this down here, guys. So Playboy there, you did get us, but there was a story just on it breaking highs with volume. So I don't know if there is an actual story. All right, so there's Qs. We got out of that one. We'll go bang on that to complete a great day for the triple Qs. And then Tesla as well. Looks like we'll be out of that one pretty soon here on TSLA. But yeah, so far so good into the close here today. But not a great day, but we'll be back tomorrow and see the damage we can put on there. Maybe we'll watch Nvidia into the close. Look at that out. I mean, honestly, where's my guy Travolta? Oh, that's fruit salad. Have some fruit salad if you guys want. I mean, fruit salad's pretty good. Right there. Travolta's like, come on, man, give yourself some credit for that out. All right, we will. So that was a good out down there at 884. Glad we did that because you're back up to that 889. Watch out for 900 again, maybe coming into the close. We've seen Nvidia really take off. I would say that you could probably buy it through the 200 and then use the 50 as your stop. So that'll give you $3 if it really runs. You might want to just punch the long through this, get it back to 900. That could be a very good possibility here, but we're over with now. The market only has that 20 minutes. We don't have that anymore, that imbalance number.
No, but
until 350.
And I say it's a but we do have, and again on the P4A platform, if I pull up the imbalance locator, we get early looks numbers on the New York exchange. So it's all your NASDAQ stocks aren't going to be there. Mostly, like you have a few sell imbalances there. You got BAC that always shows up. I feel like this week to the buy side 4 million. Pfizer 2.9, BMY 2.5 to the sell side. Walmart is a sell of 1.2 million. IBM a 1.1 million buy. Those are the notable ones. I just trailed out of Intel, so we're only, oddly enough, like Mara somehow the only thing I'm still in. We trailed out of the last short 42.15 at 41.90. So maybe it continues to the downside. I might look for another setup that has something to do with that 350 number. Like at 350, I like retracement plays. I doubt it'll be here because we're too far away from the highs. But let's get a look at the sector board for this afternoon with Adara.
We're going to take a look at some of the names in the S&P 500 that made bigger moves that maybe we didn't talk about as much earlier today. And one of those includes CDNS. This is Cadence Design Systems. This is one of the many names being mentioned by Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang during their GTC conference as one of the names going to be using some of their chips. So nice move up here for CDNS. SNPS, Synopsys, is another one of those names, but also they have some news of their own regarding a platform with their new dynamic security testing capabilities. So some platform news for SNPS in addition to a bit of an Nvidia boost. Last but not least, I mentioned this one earlier, but IP still up about 11%. International Paper getting a new CEO. So nice look as well for this one. Lots of these S&P 500 moves, names making big moves to the upside, guys.
Apparently IP is not so bad after that Dunder Mifflin joke. Still literally at the high of the day still. It just only ground higher IP. But there's not a lot of movement there to maybe sink your teeth into. Maybe you got to look for dips when these make these parabolic moves. Like your chance to get in is going to be here or here, because when it's doing that, it's like algos are just slowly taking it to the upside, and you're not going to find any obvious entries that way. There's a question why Mara short. So I'll show you the plan of action for Mara and not the morning trade. Was this level here from yesterday. It was afternoon support, 1925. So that was an area of interest for me. When it failed that top and then came back into it, I shorted the lower high looking for a VWAP retrace. It just didn't happen. So we shorted it off the 1925 level. It could not break 19 even. I held on to the last piece of it. So I'm holding the last quarter. It never broke my stop, but it also hasn't flushed. So that was the plan of action for it. And that's an example of, hey, it kind of went in the money, but it didn't follow through, so I got more out there than I probably normally would because it was looking relatively strong. So that was the plan for Mara. You always have to have a plan of action in a trade. I keep coming back to Micron because if this comes out as like a sell imbalance and there's some way to still short like 94, like this is ridiculous. Like it goes down to 93.5 and then right back to barcoding at the 94 level. Clearly, there's some accumulation going on going into their earnings. Earnings tomorrow for Micron after the bell. They're one of the big ones after the bell. Tonight, it's a little bit light, but realistically, I said exactly the same thing yesterday. That's good because A, you can look at the crazy moves that happened in the chip names, which I think is more important, and then maybe set up some ideas going into tomorrow, which we get the dot plot. So you're not bogged down with earnings, and you can get the brass tacks as Better Call Saul. He says brass tacks like a million times, and I'm using that as my workout show.
Oh, okay, so you're watching it again. That's great.
It's, so anyways, I watch shows that I've already seen, so it motivates me to like do the workout, because if I want to see the next episode of Better Call Saul, then I have to work out to see it. But I've already seen it so that I'm not entirely distracted by it. That's a really funny show if you've never checked it. You got to watch Breaking Bad first.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of, I know you can watch it independently, and I'm not saying it's a horrible thing to do, but I don't get that. It's like, just watch Breaking Bad, please, and then go watch Better Call Saul. It's not the same thing if you haven't seen the source material. I'm probably just going to get out now. I might just manually get out in the 25 range if we can get this. Like, you're not getting a push down, and it's about to take out the high, so the next available area we're going to go. Comp SRX, absolutely not. Body by Jake. I am 100% not down with like fitness fad things.
With what?
Like those like do this 90-day program, blah blah blah.
Oh.
No, you know what? The only time I've ever paid for a program is there was one on YouTube that I was using for free for like 3 years, and it was like the same all the time. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we'll charge you a small amount for like a yearly thing." I'm like, "I'll pay that because I've been getting 3 years worth of just free." Workouts that I don't have to put together myself because I work out at home. I'm not paying for a gym membership. I'm too cheap for that. Mara just broke the high, so when it gets to that top, just break out and get out. We did the same thing earlier here today, almost a similar setup. So congratulations if you got the crypto bottoms. A wild comeback. I don't think Mara is necessarily out of the water till it breaks 20, but that could easily happen tomorrow. If it's at 1930 today, this stock has no trouble moving a couple of dollars at a time. So for $20 breakout, I'd save that one for tomorrow. I don't think we have a chance of seeing that. Maybe, I don't know. In the next 10 minutes, I think that's unlikely. Meta back at the high of the day. See, I was short Meta and got away from that one, thank goodness. When it started holding VWAP, I got out. This is another one I'll have to ask why I didn't reverse it. I didn't see an obvious place to. And VWAP was the only, I think VWAP was probably the place that you could have got in, right in there when we got out of that trade. Taking out highs, maybe we see 500 tomorrow, but then that's up to the Fed.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I should have been on Meta myself. Okay, so here we go. I just tweeted this out right now. And again, guys, everyone loves Adara on the chat. I know. I always say how much we love Adara. So Adara, we love you. Thank you so much for all your work. Look at this. Adara sent me this, actually. You want to talk about the hardest worker here. I've already said that's Adara, so we'll move off that. All right, so today, look at this, man. $1,900 calls expiring this Friday, traded 33,000 contracts. What? I mean, I get that it's going to be a really super cheap contract, but I don't understand that. And so that just happened today. So we'll find out. More than double by the weekend from where we are right now. So someone's making a monster call on this. And then this guy here, Smart Karma. That was Karam, but it goes Karma. There says unlikely, but not impossible. Correct. We'll see what happens here with Nvidia, but I just want to bring that to your attention. Like, people are YOLOing a lot right now. So there goes Nvidia. Yeah, it's not going to get anywhere near 1900, of course, as we shorted that and got out nice right there. So good job. All right, we are getting ready for this.
There's got to be some kind of other.
We still do have Tesla. Well, people just do stupid things. We still do have Tesla right here. It's about to come out very, very soon, actually right about now, once we break through 80s. So this is what we're dealing with. I'm going to remove the broker, and then we will only see New York and NASDAQ, and then we'll give you a number that, of course, is not including NASDAQ, because the only number we get includes only New York. And then on the imbalances, it was 4 or 5 billion. It was 5 billion yesterday. There could be some decent shares, again, being thrown around here. So let's get ready for that. We'll get rid of the broker. And then in approximately 15 seconds, because here in lovely Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it is 349.50, 51, 52, 53. So we like to do that so you guys can get an idea of how far you are behind us or not. And here we go. It is 350 now. So we will see what happens with these imbalances. And it looks like a whole heck of nothing. Let's wait to see if some NASDAQ names come in. We'll wait to see if Tesla moves around at all. So the NASDAQ names are out and it's a bunch of nothing. Google's not bad. Decent sell there. So let's see if this starts to head to the downside there with 1 million shares to sell. So there's the gap. So it goes from 133 down to 148, so 30 cents down. See, this is kind of the stuff that you can get caught in. Just be careful. Yeah, I don't see anything else at all. I'm only looking for the millions, right? Pfizer's hot garbage. We talked about that. I think BMY, I do want to look at that. We did have Fibonacci Princess talking to us about that the other day, Bristol Myers. After that, man, I still like Walmart at 60. I haven't bought this yet. I'm waiting for those capitulation days to the downside before I buy anything. And honestly, if I miss the dip right now and don't buy any of these names, it's all good. I mean, we are still very much in. We're in about, I'll have to double check, but I think it's 7 or 8% cash, and I feel like that's a good level for me. So we'll wait to see on that one what's going to happen there if we get to the downside, and then we'll figure out what happens here moving lower on the day with Stressla. That's an Adara line. This is the only position we have left on board. I'm going to go refill my water. I'll be back, but I want to get ready for this recap show. So far, so good.
Yeah, I've canceled my orders. There wasn't anything juicy on that imbalance to look for some kind of like a 355 reversal play. Like, you got to move off the imbalance first and then try like some kind of a mean reversion at 355 when they update. That didn't happen. MSTR, impressive day because we talked about the rally. Well, it's not really a rally. Let's call it a gain from the bottom on Bitcoin, on crypto. You saw Coinbase, you saw Mara as well. So outsized move here for MSTR. For anyone tracking this, because I know a lot of people are involved in trading this, probably mostly through options, is my guess. One of my favorite technical setups, support. I mean, even resistance to support, support to resistance. When you see this up move happening, like, where are the places that I would even think about trying a short? Okay, like your pre-market range, your pre-market low, it tries to turn around there. It doesn't do anything that would indicate why you should get in at the pre-market high. But then when it gets back into that support level, that's where you start having some opportunities. Like if I was trading it, I'd probably lose there and then get that trade for a win. So you got to take maybe a couple of swipes at it. But that's about patience. When a stock is screaming up or anything is screaming to the upside, screaming to the downside, the more patient you can be, I think the better off you are going to be no matter what. Uber making some nice moves. I didn't see Uber on the imbalance locator. As I said, it was mostly a nothing burger, but Uber with a great rally today. This is what I love linear moves in stocks. If you own them, because it's great. Like there's nothing out of control about this. One spike when it took out the morning high, but most of it is just what looks like that program buying and accumulation. So when this stock is in the midst of a pullback, can't even see the 50-period moving average, and then when it bounces off 75, you just get the program buy. I'm going to add this one to the old iPad here. And I actually do mean old iPad. Like this iPad is ancient. I'm going to put 77 in. Why do I like 77? What did we just talk about? Like support underneath here at 76.5. You have yesterday's high at 77. If this is holding 77 tomorrow, I like that for a long trade. Too late in the day to try to get into it right now. Only 7 minutes to go. Actually, five and a half minutes to go. Elon asking me, what do you think about Oracle? Any chances of breaking out higher? Happy trading to you as well. Don't mind looking at that one for you. I own Oracle in the long term. I don't really trade it much. I think this is one of those nice buy it, don't necessarily trade, quality company, been around here forever, four horsemen type of things. What a really fantastic way to play any kind of earnings or gap play is, does it hold the gap and then does it break it out? So that's perfect. It holds the gap. I didn't even notice this because I haven't looked at Oracle today. Holds the gap up just now, and it's going to try and take out 130 tomorrow. So, I mean, is it going to break 130 tomorrow? I don't know, but a breakout trade you don't have to take if it doesn't go. That's a good setup there for 130. It is a Fed day, so you do have to watch out. Sometimes we have sideways action. I don't think you see it today, but I love that setup. So shout out to you. I think that's a fantastic looking setup on Oracle. But a breakout trade has to break out at 130. And Comp SRX, I agree. Like I would not be thinking short this off a resistance. I'd be thinking go long if this is going to break out that top. And if it works, great. You're with the momentum of the trade. You're with the momentum, obvious of a very significant level. You know what? I just remembered something on Oracle. I'm going to do you one better for Oracle. I just remembered this. I just zoomed out for the daily chart for you guys. Yeah, on a weekly chart, look at this post-earnings breakout. No, this is even better on Oracle because this is a post-earnings consolidation break. The weekly chart, triple top. It's also triple top on the daily, distinction without a difference. But look at it riding the 50 period on the weekly. That's bullish. And in bull markets, breakout trades are good. Obviously, in bull markets, long setups are good. So you want to be thinking about that first with that trend. Elon, appreciate you as well. You know what? I wouldn't have even noticed this on Oracle if you didn't point it out. So thank you. I mean, this is a triple top potential breakout tomorrow. Like, if I wouldn't have looked at Oracle, it wouldn't be on my iPad if you didn't say it, Elon. So you shouldn't be thanking me. We should be thanking you.
Yeah, thank you for that, because you guys know that Oracle was a name that this is one of the more recent ones that we bought before. It wasn't before earnings. We bought it down into here in January, and that was a great earnings report. Oracle, again, more deals with Nvidia, more. Wow, there it is. So there's Nvidia, man. We talked about that. That's a good out to come through for Nvidia. I'm just going to head over to the other desk, but I'm going to get out of Tesla right now. It's just bouncing around. We don't really have any reasons to stay in this name, so we'll bid it out and see if we can make that out. Ooh, I didn't realize we had another offer up there on Tesla. Let's start to cancel everything now because we just got filled. So there it is on Tesla. A good way to end the day back to the 50-period moving average. Good thing we didn't get stopped out all the way there. Let me just double check what happened with Coinbase because, okay, downside out there at where we wanted to at 230, out there on the break, and probably we'll close a little bit lower, but we'll be back into Coinbase tomorrow because, again, join me tonight. We'll talk all about sticky note as well, some names that we had on that list and some names that we didn't. Here was an out quickly on Amazon, man. We were in and out of this one at 10 o'clock. We were really bearish this morning. I didn't think the market was going to do this, and it did. So it turned upside down, went positive. You cannot hold this market down. We had Frank on talking about Japan, and you know, they really turned it up today for the NASDAQ. I mean, it was a bad day at one point, man, and we were all the way down here. Like, it was starting to break a little bit lower. We talked about 1,800, I said 1,800 this morning as well. So we were talking about 18,000 trying to hold. We didn't even really get there. We got to 1850 and then huge move up right back to 18.3. So 18.3, I've mentioned that level numerous times. I think it's a key one. If we open up above that tomorrow, let's look long into 18.5 and Jerome. So he'll be coming tomorrow. And actually, maybe I'll talk to him tonight on the recap show because he knows traders stay late and he wants to get everyone's opinion. So we'll figure that out. Join me in just a couple minutes and we'll go over there. We are now done. We don't have any more trades on board. And yeah, another positive day for the market. Also the S&P too,
Powering
right?
them up.
Yeah, it's powering up for Powell.
Ever since there was the one day, Brendan kind of jinxed things, it was like, and then since then, the market just goes right back to its business. That's what bull markets do. Like, bull markets, people are out there buying dips. Like, that's kind of the idea. Like, if you're in a trend, people are buying dips. I think it's an obvious thing. Tomorrow, we're gonna get that dot plot. We'll see what happens with it. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I know how it's gonna shake out. Maybe they push it back a couple months. Maybe we're not gonna get June after all. But you gotta react. You react to Powell. You don't sit there trying to predict it. You leave that to analysts. Nvidia and AMD, a lot of these names are bouncing because the NASDAQ got back up to the highs. It's actually not a lock that we're going to close green on the NASDAQ because it's only up 0.2%. And I'm just noticing Apple made a decent pullback. Apple's actually falling into the close. So Apple dropped like 50 cents. It's actually accelerating to the downside there. So unfortunately, this name, which was one of the strongest all day, was Apple, giving a little bit back here at the close. I didn't see an imbalance on it as to why this is falling the way that it is, but only 20 seconds to go there. Why Brothers United? Sometimes you lose in the morning, you get it back. This is one of my favorite things before I put the countdown on, and this is something I've only ever heard on real trading floors. The most satisfying gains are gains from the bottom because it shows that you're kind of stuck with things and you got some of that gain from the bottom. So congratulations there, but ring it in now. That's my bad. That's my bad, Adara. The market's closed. We are green. NASDAQ's going to end up 0.2% to the upside. The ES doing a decent job, actually leading the way up 0.5%. Apple with a bit of a pullback after doing a lot of heavy lifting on the day. It's going to close right at 176. I'm just curious about Nvidia, so I'm going to pull up 93. It looks like it closed at. If you had told me Nvidia was going to close green this morning, I would have told you you're crazy. But that's how these markets go. Absolutely relentless movement to the upside in Nvidia. I mean, relentless pretty much all day long. There was a late push back in that didn't get to VWAP, but that shocked a lot of people today on a lot of the chip names. The resilience is definitely there. We thought it was sell the news on the event, and they've decided it's going to be otherwise. Shout out to Fabian and Ramin on the ones and twos as always. A great lesson as we're always getting every single day. Learn to trade with both Sharif and Adara, who was double dutying, as we've been saying, at the desk, giving you guys the news as well. So filling in for Brennan, doing a fantastic and seamless job is Adara. So there's not a ton in the way of earnings. However, there's about 1 million things worth reviewing, and that's just in the chip space alone. That's let alone looking at things like Oracle, the move in Disney that we're able to see. So you've got that and more as we go from me back to the desk. It's a market recap show. Shout out to Sean. Send it to the desk. Have fun, guys.
Here for the market recap show. What up? We're at a different desk, but same trader. All right, we're going to go for roll call. We have Brian Shannon coming today. Unfortunately, look at that sector recap. Nvidia, we'll talk about that. We had a nice move, but look at the earnings. We have some Chinese names coming through tomorrow that we're going to look at. There's really nothing reporting tonight, but stick with us. We'll look at the Benzinga platform. And again, this is what we have. The show sponsored by Benzinga Pro, and anything that hits into here, we can talk about it. If there's any kind of big time movement in any names, maybe Nvidia makes a move after hours. We had Fisker news after hours at one point as well, but we'll wait to see what does happen. And I do appreciate everyone staying late today, man. We got like a couple hours sleep last night, but we're still feeling good and we're ready to rock and roll. So, all right, here we go. Yo, what's up? Future Eddie's here. Damien is here. And just to let everyone know, we have over 3,300 watching. We are also streaming live right now on Instagram. You can go find us streaming on Instagram as well. We're streaming here on, but you know what I was thinking? If you go find us on any of those other places, we actually don't get revenue from those places. Stay here on YouTube. You know, give us some love. But go find it wherever, man. We want to grow the platform. Go find us. We have a wicked mobile version as well on YouTube. Go find it there. We have more Trader TV Live. We have the midday show on the same stream. We're on Twitch. We're on X. There he is. There's Sharif right there and Adara. You can see these guys. Yo, what's up, Tim? Everybody, yeah. We're all family here. Those of you that stay late, we're family. Shout out to everybody, man. And I want to thank Kyle Burdett today for, again, your very nice talk, talking about real trading. That means a lot to me, that's for sure. All right, I got to figure out. I apologize for this. It's fun. You know what's so funny? I'm going to tell you a little story about Brendan here. All right. Story time. You know, I need a story time thing. But no, this is just going to be something funny because, and it goes to what I was talking about this layout. I wanted to put cannabis ETF, MSOS, on the ETF layout, but I cannot take my hands and eyes away from trading. And I'll tell you the story about Brendan now because we were like, oh man, we can't do the market recap shows on Friday because we do the podcast on Friday. And I was like, why don't we just do the podcast in the middle of the day? And then Brendan turns to me and is like, bro, you're going to be way too distracted from the markets to do anything podcast related in the middle of the day. And Brendo is 100% right. I can't even come over here and set this up. But we got it set up. Shout out to Michael Noss right now as well. And make sure you join us for the podcast, popping off every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Hit those QR codes. All right, so MSOS today, if we come over here, let's start going over some sectors real quick. All right, MSOS today, nice bump up over the last couple of days, giving it back today. This is a very dangerous ETF, and I'll tell you why. If you're going to invest in it, that's one thing. Trading it, it's very, very headline based. You will get some big run-ups. And then what I've noticed, I mean, today it doesn't look like much. Let me just go over to a 3-minute chart here. And by the way, you can see on there, Brian Shannon's going to be coming. He wants to talk about Nvidia. So that should be a big one for us as well. Here's MSOS, a nice dump, and this is what I'm talking about. Look at this move down in the pre-market, look at the move back up and then nothing. If we go over the last couple days on MSOS, a little bit of nothing, and then there it comes up to the upside once you get some news. So we'll trade the Microsoft MSFT, MSOS, the marijuana ETF, when and if we ever hear news. But for right now, I think $9 looks pretty good. And by the way, it's Hydration Nation. Let's do that real quick. $3,000 of you sticking with us. Thank you so much for that. All right. Apparently news on Intel just released. I just heard on the chat. And by the way, if we see stuff in here and it's like, we know why, brothers, so we'll look at that. But don't put like fake stuff in here because it's just going to distract us from getting to the real stuff. Thank you, G. Franks. I'm not the king. You are the king. But if I'm the king, there's one thing for sure. My wife is the queen. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so let's check out what's happening with Intel quickly. Oh yeah, nice little move up there for Intel. So you're not wrong there, Y brothers. Nice little move up there for Intel. I don't see anything on the board here for it, but it's a move up for Intel. Let me just check out Nvidia to see if anything's happening in the chip space right now. Nah, not much. All right, shout out to, again, you know what? I'm going to stop shouting out Adara because it's going to look like, you know, I'm obsessed with that. But we had some news today on oil prices. Okay, so declining exports from both Saudi Arabia and Iraq, coupled with signs of a stronger demand and economic growth in China. fueled this move up today for the XLE, for Nat Gas as well. We will wait. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Is it? Yes. So we will get oil inventories tomorrow. So watch out for USO. You can see XLE. We really like this name. It's been a good one. I'm looking to get some out of XLE. I'm actually in ZEO in Toronto, but it's basically mimics this. You can see right here, $93, $94 upside there for XLE. Feel like you can start getting some out. We've talked about the strength in energy. Look at XOM. It's too bad I own this name, but doesn't matter. Should have bought more down there. We just buy the ETF, but XOM, nice move. Big share buyback, also a big buyback in CVX. XOM gets that Permian deal done and not Chevron. So Exxon, nicely done to the upside, but this 140 is pretty cash money down there. We'll look to buy some support. I know Neil was talking about Oxy. I know he bought that dip in Oxy. And again, this is called the Buffett bounce, right? You get it's a great call. Buy the dips. We know that he owns 20% of this company. So any dips, opportunity to buy, especially if you believe in the underlying strength in crude. So crude today, nice upside move. We have XLV written on here. That's the healthcare sector. Nice move to the upside as we continue to watch out for Eli Lilly. This is not healthcare, but again, with diabetes maybe being, I don't want to say quelled by any stretch of the imagination, as Ozempic and some of these other drugs, I've actually been reading some negativity on, on traders, on people getting off of that. So I still feel like the story's still there. NVO, Novo Nordisk, and Eli Lilly, they kind of got these drugs approved real quick because they definitely have long-lasting effects, but we'll have to see what's up with Eli Lilly. I want to buy the dips in this name. Actually, a name that I heard Neil talk about at the end of the day, I said I wasn't going to be buying dips in too many names, but what do we think about Uber down here? I think Uber could probably be bought, especially if we can close this gap and then hold in and around this $70 mark. We're still at 77. I'd like to see Uber give us that love. And we were just down here to 73. I think that's a buy. I may put a bid down here on Uber into this level. I like autonomy. I like what Uber's doing. And I like that camera angle as I go to the other one, just as she hits that. I like that. I like that, Ramin, coming through. All right. What else was negative today? We had uranium. Oh, because we're going to talk, we can flip it over. Let's go over to maybe the Chinese names. So tomorrow, do you have that earnings board? If we can get that, Ramin, we'll look at that quickly because tomorrow we have PDD that's coming through. That should be a good earnings play as well. For Pinduoduo, you can see March 20th pre-market. So we have a couple names. That's a beautiful dip buy opportunity into 108. The problem with some of these Chinese names is hard to trust them based on some of the media reports that you hear because GDP is higher, unemployment rate is lower. We're not releasing data, we are releasing data. We have great sales, we have a higher CPI print, but yet no one's spending enough money. Like some of the things here in China don't make too much sense. Brendo and I talked about that a little bit on the podcast. Do we have it? Okay, let's throw the earnings board up. All right, so you can see here coming into tomorrow, Pinduoduo's on there. I can't really do it, it's the bottom. Is it the bottom right? No, it's the top right there. Pinduoduo. We move with the board as we go to see. Yeah, don't worry about it. My eyesight, yeah, get rid of it. My eyesight's so bad, it don't matter anyways as we come in. But you can see a few Chinese names there on the right side. So we'll look, thank you, Min. We'll look at FXI to come through here. Again, if we get some weakness in China, I always think you could buy 50-period moving averages. Remember when we got hit on our Adobe call? Look what happened to Adobe. Adobe fell right back into past support, into 500, now up to 520. Look at that support on Adobe. So if we get a dip down in a name like an Alibaba, when do they report? May 16th, so we're well off for Alibaba. They're a while away. But I really like this 72 level here for Alibaba. I think there's some good possibilities. I mean, I can see Brian's getting ready to come through. I mean, there's going to be some odd names. Pinduoduo is a big one, so we could talk about that. You know where I would anchor the VWAP? You know, I mean, this is pretty topical. Oh, when Brian comes on, I always say this, man. Brian's going to owe me one day, and I'm going to tell him a story about this morning and the anchor VWAP, and he's really going to like it, so stay tuned for that. All right, if I was going to anchor anything here to Pinduoduo, I'm going to learn from the man himself. You could either go to the beginning of the year, which would be right here, the first day of the year. You could go to highs right now. If we put an anchor view up, look where it comes in. 129.58 right there. A lot of the times you want to anchor to these highs. So you're bouncing off on that. This is good for Pinduoduo earnings. You could break through, then use that anchored view up, or you can now anchor it down here to pretty much recent lows or where we started to break out from them. So a nice little anchor down here at 102, 103. But you don't have to trust me. We're going to have Brian on very soon. And I can see he's been let out of his bunker. So that's a good one there for Brian. He's been let out. So, remember when Alibaba, they didn't know where Jack Ma was? Well, now we know that Brian Shannon is in a safe spot. So that's good. All right. What else to talk about here? Those are some Chinese names that we talked about earlier. Anything interesting here today? XLU. I like utilities hovering around the 50-period moving average. We had some talk the other day about John Deere with Michael Noss. Was it yesterday with him about John Deere? What day is it today? It's Tuesday. Man, we're off. But there's John Deere. Nice move right back there. And again, look, you don't have to be a market technician to see some of these things. Look at the support down here at 350 for John Deere. What a miss on earnings, and what a great take back on DE. So we'll talk about XLI, which is the industrials. Look at the industrials, man. You want to talk about a huge move? Wow. I mean, this ETF, it's not going to be huge from the bottom, because you're going to say, Sean, man, this bottom here was like $96, $97. You're only at 122. It's only up 25%. But for industrials and for an ETF, this is a great play. You know what it's led by? Look at Caterpillar. When will this name stop? Big movement for Caterpillar. Huge move to the upside right there. More water for Hydration Nation. Let's go. Haha, Ramin. All right. Ramin, what's up, man? A little late on that. Hydration Nation. Still valid. Look. All right, I know. She's good to go. Look at JP Morgan, guys. Wow. You want to talk about a name that's got some juice underneath it. This is not O.J. Simpson, man. The juice is loose already on this one. Big time move to the upside. That's just about, you don't know about this, because O.J. Simpson used to be the juice. O.J. Simpson. And you know what his O-line was called? The Electric Company, because they got the juice flowing. I'm talking to Fabian right here. I'm trying to educate the youngins right now, but you're not a big football guy anyways, are you?
I just know that he got away with murder.
Okay, we're not talking about that part. We're not talking about that part about O.J. Simpson, man. I mean, man, no politics. No politics. Okay, nice move to the upside there for JP Morgan. The reason we talk about that is, look at this ETF. Look at XLF. Continues to go to the upside. I really feel like, man, rising tides definitely lifting all ships over the last 4 or 5 months. Ever since we bottomed out in October, it's been a nice move right back up there to the upside. I want to thank absolutely everybody for staying tuned right now with us. We have over 2,500 watching. Not only are you guys watching on YouTube, but we're on Twitter, we're on Twitch, we're on Instagram Live, and probably some more as well. Follow us, keep following us. We are the best show, and we're here for a reason. It's because of you continuously supporting almost 450,000 subscribers. Hey, where's that YouTube plaque? Is that around anywhere? I'm going to show that off when we get a second right now. All right. You picked Caterpillar a few days ago on CNBC. Good job on that one. And Sebastian, you are damn right. Traders stay late. And we're about to have one of the best traders around coming through with Brian Shannon. He's ready? All right. Well, we'll make him wait a little bit longer. Why not? Brian wanted to talk today about a few things. He wanted to talk about Nvidia, so we're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to talk, we do have a very important day coming tomorrow. And before we call Brian up, let's just quickly look at the cues. Important day because of Fed. So Fed's coming through tomorrow. It's been kind of a nothing burger leading into it. I'm going to call up the CME Fed rate tool just so I know what I'm talking about when I get Brian on. The Fed rate tool yesterday was like 99% for no change. Let's check out what it is today. It's 99 problems. and a cut ain't one. It looks like we will stay where we are for tomorrow. Let's bring him on. It's Brian Shannon. Hey, Brian, how are you doing?
John, good. I'm out of the cave, like you said.
I saw that. I'm very happy about that, but you still got that smile, which is number one. I said I'd have a story for you, so if you got a minute, I'm going to tell it to you. You got a minute?
Let's hear it.
All right, so this morning, myself and Neil and Brendan, we do a hit with an Italian bank. I'll leave that bank alone for right now. And what we do is we trade on their platform and we just give them the goods on European stocks. We got a question from one of the viewers, hundreds of viewers. One of the viewers asked today, and you know what the question was? They were Italian, and they said, where is the level from Brian Shannon's anchored VWAP on, I think it was Nvidia, might have been Tesla, but I was like, boom, there it is. Shout out to Brian Shannon, live from Italy. There it goes. So they're watching the show. They're talking about the anchored VWAP. So you're worldwide, my friend, but I guess you already know that.
I did a presentation for a group of Italians about a month ago, so maybe it was related to that. I don't know, but that's pretty cool.
So there you go. I thought that was real cool, man. The anchored VWAP making its ways around the world right now. Okay, you messaged me earlier about Nvidia. We actually got smoked on going short near 895 because when it broke, it continued to go up, made that 905 or so top today. Interesting name for Nvidia. Do you mind sharing some of your thoughts?
Sure. I put this on Twitter earlier today. One of the things about the anchored VWAP people always ask is, where do I anchor from? So one of the most important ones I've always found is, anything that changes the perception of a stock drastically, such as an earnings report. And when we get a big gap off of that, like we did with Nvidia back on February 22nd. So if we can pull up the screen there, that's exactly what we're looking at, is the anchored volume weighted average price from the earnings report. And what we typically see is kind of typical of, even if this was a 1-minute chart, you might see the market gap up, kind of pull back below the daily volume weighted average price and then finish strong. But here we see, obviously, it's longer than that. These are 30-minute candles, and this is basically a month since they've reported earnings. We always anchor to the start of the earnings report. Here it came pretty close to it, but today it nailed it perfectly. I put out a tweet at that point saying, here we are at a level of interest. I didn't take action right then and there, but when I looked to the shorter term time frame and it got back above the daily volume weighted average price in here, that for me was my cue to go long. It didn't initially do a whole lot, but I always use the low of the day as a stop, and we saw a nice trade. I got out of most of it up in here at the 2 and the 3-day volume weighted average price. But again, the point is not what time frame you trade or what I did, but just how good these levels can be using the anchored VWAP, especially when, here we are seemingly range bound in Nvidia since, for the last week and a half.
Here we go. It's the book. Go get it. If anybody's having issues understanding anchored VWAP or anything like that, that was perfectly explained. Go grab the book. It can find you, of course, on Twitter and all over the place. Krishna, I don't know if you know this about Canada here, but come over to my screen here. Krishna, I cannot become the next Prime Minister of Canada because, unfortunately, I don't speak French. I could try to learn how to speak French, but I don't know if you knew that, Brian. I don't think the president needs to speak Spanish because I'm not sure Biden or Trump speak Spanish. But here in Canada, as an official second language, you need to speak French. You dual or any other languages other than English for yourself? Nah. Yeah, me and you are just common folk, aren't we? Yeah, that's too bad. We'll stop a big fail. I wish I had a second language, unfortunately.
Me too. It's kind of like music, Sean. I've tried for years to, years ago to play guitar. I just can't. It's a different language to me. I can't do music. I can't do foreign languages. It's all mystery to me.
But the good thing is we can trade, and we're traders, so we like that. All right, I'm with you on, we want to talk a little bit potentially about the NASDAQ or the market in general. It doesn't matter to me if we use the ES or the NASDAQ or any market, but what do you do when Powell's coming through? So is it like a no trade day for you? Do you potentially wait for 2 p.m. to see? But right now it's 99%, so I guess 2:30 when he hits the podium. Sometimes you get good talk. We have the dot plot coming tomorrow as well. That's being reintroduced for the first time in a while. So we'll be able to see where they're thinking this is going with the interest rate and all that. But what's your general opinion come an afternoon on a Fed rate release day?
I never initiate a new swing trade ahead of that. I'll trade in the morning, and often what we see is, the first hour and a half of the day, we tend to see some decent moves, and then it just kind of shuts off completely in terms of liquidity up until that 2 p.m.
Right.
And then you get that craziness, which I'm too old for that stuff. So I just kind of, treat it as a day where there's too much volatility. But, soon after, maybe 10 minutes after, I'll put an anchor on the event. I'll do it really right away on a 1-minute chart, but I'll start paying attention to it after about 10 minutes, the anchor on, let's say, the SPY. And then sometimes you see some good low risk bounce opportunities above or below. If we rally up and pull back to the anchor from the Fed and then start to bounce, then I'll get long. If vice versa, we sell off, rally up to that anchor, then I'll right off the Fed. Then 10 minutes or so after, once it's digested that little move up, then I'll look to get short. But it's all dependent on how the market reacts. I'm not smart enough to understand foreign languages, and the Fed speak is one of those foreign languages I don't speak too. I just speak in price.
And speak. I like that. Yeah. Sometimes what he's saying, it's like, what's going on around here? Greenspan was pretty famous for that as well. Okay. I'm just noticing on your chart. So that's great advice right there, by the way. Wait a couple minutes and you'll see me tomorrow. The same thing. We'll wait to see if we can get some levels. I'll probably throw up some anchored VWAP. So get ready for that tomorrow. But I'm seeing on your shared screen right here, it looks like the NASDAQ and the Qs have dipped into some good support levels. Do we mind sharing that chart with some of our viewers? About what you have on right now. NASDAQ, good dip support, it looks like.
Yeah, and the thing is, Sean, is that it reminds me of the phrase that the more often any level of support is tested, the more likely it is to fail. Now, I'm not betting in that direction, but that's in the back of my mind. You could maybe even, for the people who like the patterns, you could call this a double-headed shoulder, head and shoulders pattern. The other thing that I see on this chart is this right here, this line, this red line is where we were 20 days ago. So tomorrow we get rid of that. This becomes day 20, which means that 20-day moving average, which has been rising ever since we crossed above it in November,
will slope down.
Will start to flatten out. And if we break down and replace this data with lower data, then that 20-day moving average will start to decline. And if we get trapped below that and this little band of support over in here, then I think you've got a quick test of at least the 50-day moving average and more likely a little bit further down to the year-to-date anchor at 426. So I'm, as I've been saying to Alpha Trend subscribers and in my videos over and over again, I'm cautious, but I'm not bearish. I'm very cautious because we've got the anchored volume weighted average price from the peak. We've got this, what's looking like potential distribution in here. And I think you've just got to be aware of, we've had this massive rally in the market, close to 30 points, 30% rather, off the October-November low. So, we're due for a little bit deeper pullback. It wouldn't be a bad thing to see happen.
Any opinion? I kind of am cautious, and I'll tell you why. And it's because of the Reddit IPO, honestly. When I heard them announce that and they're only releasing 8% of shares, I kind of feel like they're trying to do that arm move that SoftBank did and not give that many shares out. Reddit IPO, I believe it's Thursday. Is that something that you trade? I'm going to assume not because there's really no data behind it. But are you an IPO kind of guy or not really?
Well, there's a whole chapter about that, trading anchor, with the anchored VWAP. And so one thing I read about Reddit is that the pricing of it is half the price of the last round of public finance. So that kind of, puts a little bit of a taint on it, I guess. And, constricting the supply is a smart move. With all this, creating more demand. So they'll probably do a secondary, 3-6 months down the road if you get a nice pop. But initially, you want to put an anchor on that first minute, but you also want to look at a 1-minute chart and put an anchor on the second minute. It's important because that first minute where you have that huge surge in volume, often, the biggest volume you'll see for several days, that is generally a negotiated price. It's where the specialist market makers decide here's where we're going to match up all these buy and sell orders, and it's going to open there. So they print a huge block. Well, that isn't real aftermarket supply and demand. What the second minute, though, what you'll see is if you anchor from there, often we'll see a pullback right to that. And then get a bounce, whereas let's say the VWAP for the 1 minute from the very first minute might be 20-30 cents lower. People are waiting for a pullback to that VWAP, but it never gets there, but bounces from the second minute. So that's a kind of a little bit of a tip if you're going to get involved in it on the very first day.
All right, chapter 11, IPO trades with the anchored VWAP. There it is right there.
Yeah. So
Shout out.
There's examples of going to the second minute too.
Shout out. Awesome, 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 awesome. Great opportunity to educate yourself there. Thank you so much. Mr. Brian Shannon, do you have Bitcoin on your platform? Because I don't want to ask it to you if we don't really want to discuss it, or do you just want to stay with the market? There are some...
I'd love to talk about Bitcoin. Let me stop this share and go through this other screen.
Give me a second. Come over to mine, Ramin, here, and I'll just go over it. Let Brian set this up real quick. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Brian. And thank you to everybody in the chat, man. I mean, this is what we're doing. Traders stay late, and we're going to get questions from you guys as well. So here we go. We got Brian Shannon on the line right now. And Brian, you know what? That was a nice move on Bitcoin all the way back in for sure. It hasn't been trading that well over the last couple of days. I feel a little nervous about it, and I'll tell you why. If you go back here, I mean, how much does this look alike? Like we have a wick top there, flush. A wick top there, flush. One of the biggest wick tops out of anything here just went in a couple. This is a weekly chart. So last week we had a wick top up there into 74,000 roughly, and then this flush down. I'm getting a little nervous potentially here about some of these tops in Bitcoin. I want to be a buyer in and around. I thought 50, but looking at this, maybe 45 or so. But I don't know. Is this something again where we should be a little, maybe not bearish, but definitely cautious of what we're seeing right now on the charts, and especially those wicks on the weekly?
Yeah, I'm a little bit cautious here, Sean. Looking at, I've got 3 time frames up here, and up top we have the weekly time frame. Let me just do this to adjust it so we can see a little bit more clearly.
Thank you.
This is the anchor off of these important highs. This is the anchor from this most recent move, and that's the handoff. But we broke to a new all-time high, after being extended. And like we often see, the breakouts get sold into as the late money comes in and chases it. So we've got to look to a shorter term time frame. So on the daily time frame, kind of got that same situation with this blue 20-day moving average just starting to flatten out. What I really have been focused on is this 30-minute time frame. And on this 30-minute time frame, there's a couple things. One, this is where that move began on February 21st. This is where we broke above the year-to-date anchor and the anchor from the ETF approval. So this is where I initially got long. This is where we spoke about the IBIT, if you recall.
Yep.
And we then had another thrust move higher that began right in here. That's that second handoff, that black one. Well, recently, we've broken below the declining 5-day moving average. We've got the anchor off this peak. So while it's below that declining 5-day moving average and the anchor off that peak, to me, it tells me I'm not really interested in buying it yet. We saw a bounce off this one. What I'm trying to get to is I'm looking for maybe some support down near 61,000 and at least a decent bounce of maybe, if we get down to 61, I think we could bounce back up to 67, 68, and that would be a nice trade. But deeper pullback could bring it down to the levels you're looking at, Sean. So, the anchor from the year low right here is that purple line, and that would get you to about 57,000. So those are the key levels. But right now, there's a very clear pattern on this 4-hour time frame of lower highs and lower lows. So I'm not a buyer of it yet.
Okay, good. I like that. We'll look for 60,000. I mean, I'm getting a little nervous. We've talked about some of the altcoins really going crazy as well. All right, you mentioned IBIT. One last question. I talked to you about Disney a while ago, and this was a name that I pretty much asked all the guests. If we come over to my screen right here for DIS, I put an anchored VWAP down here at its most recent lows. It goes back to October, and when you were back, I can't remember when, but we had talked about holding this level and that we both like the long, especially with earnings. We get a nice gap up on earnings. You can never predict what's going to happen there, but we definitely have a VWAP, anchored VWAP right here down to 90 bucks. That gave me the confidence there to think that we were going to be right on the long. This 80 bottom goes back down to COVID, so I feel like technically we had a good bottom there. Bob Iger comes out and thinks about going profitable on the direct-to-consumer Disney Plus. Oh yeah, by the way, let's talk about something not stock related too much. What is your favorite streaming service? Is it going to be Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus?
You know what's kind of crazy, Sean, is I really have so much content that I have not seen on Netflix. I haven't looked at a Netflix show in a couple of years, so I've got a whole world of content over there. I've been using Amazon a lot for online content.
I find like for myself, I feel like the same thing. I couldn't cut Netflix, could probably cut everything else, but I do like the content there on Amazon for sure. All right, so what do we think about Disney? I trimmed, like when I actually saw this fail right there at 115, that goes back to, there's a daily chart that goes back to March 5th. I actually got out the next day, and unfortunately I got like a 112.30, something like that in here, because I was nervous about a possible failed top break right there. But now today, they signed up college, I think it was all of NCAA for the next little while, so that's nice for ESPN. Looks like it wants to break out. If I zoom back out a little bit, there's still a lot of runway here to the upside. What are you thinking about Disney? Do you think we can break back and get into this 120? And then do we just respect this anchor in and around 94, 95 bucks? I like a psychological level of 100 myself, but Disney's looking pretty healthy up here. Agree or disagree?
Drop an anchor off of that 2021 high, Sean, and it pulls you right to about 120, so 119-ish. The other thing I would say is if you look at a weekly chart and go back to 2015 or so, we saw that this area, in this general area, 115, 120, was resistance through 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 2019. And then last year, we saw our highs in this area. So I think there's a lot of price memory in this 115, 120 level. I think, cutting some was the smart thing to do. It's likely to at least stall and digest these gains up in this area, but the trend is still higher. So, longer term accounts should probably still hold it.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Was there anything, you weren't actually sharing your screen there, but we did have my Disney screen up there, and I did drop the VWAP, so great job there. Anything else you're looking at maybe, or I think we've covered a lot.
We've covered a lot. I think, there's a lot of stocks to me that look like they're set up to get going to the long side.
Right.
But I'm just hesitant to pull the trigger ahead of the Fed until we see that reaction get digested, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Brian, Shannon, where can they find you? At Alpha Trends? Anything else you want to promote right now?
No, you got it, Sean. All good.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian Shannon, a very, very friendly friend of the show, and we're glad to see you out of that bunker and looking handsome as usual. Thank you so much, Brian Shannon. Say hi to everyone, and thank you for coming on Trader TV Live.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brian. There it is. That's Trader Talk. I'm proud of everything that we're doing here. So there it is right now. We found it. Shout out to Fate. Here I am trying to promote. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and it's been a great one, man. We're all pretty tired around here, but we have tons of energy. I want to thank Brian for coming through. So many good stories there. Bitcoin chart was amazing. 60,000. We'll see if there's some support there for sure. It looks like the Disney. We've got some thumbs up on that play as well. And then again, tomorrow, not too many earnings coming through, but we'll be on Nvidia. We're running a little bit late, but that doesn't mean that we can't do roll call. Haha, all y'all thought we were done, but we're not done yet. We got to do some roll call action, baby. So who's here? It's Michelle Mira's here. People saying fail. People like that, Ramin. Thank you so much. Brian says Elon. What's up to Aaron Scott Matthews? What's up, Bears versus Bulls? I recently have been saying what good job Adair is doing. Bears versus Bulls. That's my guy right there. Thank you so much, Bears versus Bulls. The best. I don't know what we do without you. To be honest with you, the more work we give this guy, the more he says yes. So thank you so much, Bears versus Bulls. Thank you so much, PTC Research, Alan Smith, the Piper, man, David Toledo, Darren, Sparky Trader. Hey, you've got pineapple on pizza, baby. We like that one. We like that one. I don't understand Neil's problem with that. People can like what they like. You don't have to like what everyone else likes. You like pineapple on pizza, put that on there and put extra pineapple. Maybe don't put extra pineapple. All right, thank you so much, 509 Blackjack, for all those kind words as well. Today's sticky note was pretty good, but you know what? Honestly, I didn't even log in to show you any of my trades. We really hit that Nvidia. The one thing I want to talk about quickly before we let everybody go is Nvidia is going to be on my mind tomorrow. And it's not because of a revenge trade or anything like that. We actually got revenge on Nvidia. We took $14 at the end of the day. But I do want to show you which was one of my worst trades here in a very, very long time today. And again, it wasn't a black swan event or anything like that. We actually put on shares and we trade with big shares. So I mean, when we get hit and it sucks. So yesterday, we had Nvidia. You see this high right there of 895. So we had a dump in right there on Nvidia, breaking through 895, 896. I was basically thinking, look at this, even yesterday, that this 895 was going to hold. I thought it was going to hold. We went short into it. So right into here, we were short into here. Look at this wick. It went all the way to 897 and then flushed down 10 bucks. We took like a $2 to $3 hit. Had too many shares, got hit on that one, and had our worst day on Nvidia. But we survived. We survived, man. We're still here. And then we got right back in it, and we shorted this level right here at 905. We dared it to break 905. It almost did, and then we would have been in trouble. But look at this flush right back down in, and we were able to get it. Never doubt your own abilities, and never not tune in to the market recap show. And tomorrow morning early at 8:30, when myself, Neil, Brendan, hopefully Ramin has a day off. I mean, she's working a lot. Do you have a day off tomorrow? There, I'll get her back. Fail. Right there. There she is. What's up, Ramin? Thank you so much to everybody for joining. She needs a day off for sure. We'll get her one next week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm Sean Katina. That's Ramin. And we'll be back tomorrow at 8:30. Ciao, everybody.